But also, I want you to.
Is everybody okay for starting?
That's the press.
Yes, we're good. Thank you very much. We can get started. Okay, welcome everybody. This is the Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District Commission. To all persons deemed interested or affected by the Town of Barnstable's Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District Commission ordinance under Chapter 112, Article 3 of the Code of the Town of Barnstable, you are hereby notified that hearing is being held at Town Hall 367 Hyannis, Mass. Selectmen's Conference Room, second floor, 6:30 p.m. on today, Wednesday, February 19th, 2025. This meeting of February 19th is being recorded and broadcast on the Town of Barnstable's Government Access Channel. In accordance with MGL Chapter 30A, Section 20, the chair must inquire as to whether anyone else is recording this meeting, and if so, to please make their presence known. I see no takers and no hands have gone up. If I could ask everyone to please silence their cell phones. I have in mind. I'm one of the worst offenders, so I have to keep it in front of me. Okay, I'm going to call this meeting to order. So, both full and alternates. Commissioner Perry Wentworth.
Here.
Commissioner Watson was unable to make it tonight. Commissioner Kevin Matthews.
Here.
Commissioner Cornelius College.
Here.
Commissioner Jennifer Hinckley Needham was unable to make it tonight. Commissioner Matthew Clark.
Here.
Commissioner Laura Cronin.
Here.
Commissioner Jack Kay.
Here.
Commissioner Tom Doherty. And I, Cheryl Powell, am also here. We do have 6 full members tonight and 2 alternates. So we'll have one of the alternates voting on one. So it looks like we have more than one. So first one, Commissioner Matthews, can I ask you to vote on the first one? Or the second one? Do you have a preference?
Doesn't matter to me.
Okay, so.
We'll wrestle for it, Perry.
Okay, so each between the two of you. Okay, so that's called to order. Can I please ask staff to make their presence known?
Karen Pina, Admin Assistant, Planning and Development.
Corey Pacheco, Senior Planner with Planning and Development.
And you two are superb, by the way. Okay, so also we have Town Councilor Charles Bloom present, who is our Town Council liaison. We also have the distinct pleasure to have 2 other council members. I think I've got everybody. I can't see everybody in the room. So that would be Town Councilor Chris Clark and Town Councilor Betty Lucky. Welcome very, very much. Glad to have you. So got that in. Also, to remind everybody of our new system, we no longer have the microphones, but you can still hear everything that's said, including, and also to our people who are here tonight with us, it is recorded even what's heard out in the hallway, just so you know that. So, Big Brother's watching you. Okay, so trainings. Can I remind everyone that if you haven't done your conflict of interest training, to please do so. Contact Cynthia Lovell, and she will tell you if you are up to date or not and listed, and give you any advice on instructions on how to complete those if you have to do it at regular intervals. Nothing on awards tonight. We have correspondence, which we will bring up with regard to the actual applications. And with that, I'm going to go ahead to new business, if I may. So, first one up is Borndam Associates LLC at 337 Main Street, Hyannis, 327, parcel 111. Is there anyone here for that application?
Yes.
Okay. Would you like to come up and sign in, please?
Sure.
Whoever's going to be speaking with regard to that.
Sign me into that. Sure.
Can you sign in for somebody else?
Yeah, I know.
You're okay with that? Okay.
As long as they're here, right? They're from the same firm, Yeah. so.
Okay. We'll just note for the record that you're okay with him signing for you.
He's questionable, but I'll let it go.
I'm sure about that. I'm asking between the two of you. I just want to make sure we're clear.
Gotta keep that in mind with everything he says now.
Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. All righty. So please come in. Do we have enough chairs available? We can bring some more in. move this? Not here, because this is for the application. Oh, okay, thank you very much. You just.
Oh, you
pop it
can
up
put them
there.
out here in the hallway too, Elizabeth. Yeah.
I think she's sitting here.
You can sit there.
I could take this chair out, it's just.
Yep,
Push
you
that
can
over
use
there.
that chair too.
We have an extra chair over here, if you want to pull it back.
Mike, you can sit there.
All set?
All right.
Okay, so we do have one piece of correspondence, because this is with regard to 337 Main Street. There is a email from Betsy Young. I'll go ahead and read that into the record if I may now. It says, "Hello Karen, sorry for the lateness of this email, but I wonder if you could get this to the record, to the HHTC Commission members. I would like to register my support for the demolition of the property at 337 Main Street."
Madam Chair, should that be done as part of correspondence?
Well, I did say earlier that what I can do is do the correspondence with regard to each application. So we pass that part. That way it goes with the application. My shop sits across from the property on Main Street, and I have been looking at this empty, failing property for 18 years, hoping that something would be done to make it better. It is, in my opinion, unsavable. I am pleased that the current owner has plans to use the property for another purpose. I've seen drug deals happening in the front doorway on many occasions, and I have seen people passed out in front. It would be so good for Main Street and Hyannis to have a functioning business there, as it is a very visible location on the way to the ferries and at the beginning of the main commercial area. I hope that the commission will agree that the property needs to be demolished and repurposed. Thanks, Betsy Young, Soho Arts, and I believe this is the only communication we have with regard to this, just so I'm not missing anyone else. So that has been read into the record. Okay, so would you like to tell us about the application?
Sure,
And if you could also state your name?
of course. My name is Patrick Nickerson. I'm the attorney, one of the attorneys for the applicant, Marcello Milegny, as manager of Bornbaum Associates LLC. With me is John Kenny, also representing Marcello, and the principal of our office. Our office is in Centerville.
Nice to meet you, and Mr. Kenny, it's nice to have you back with us.
Thank you, it's nice to be here.
And to remove all doubt, this is Marcello, who may be contributing also. You can raise your hand if you'd like. Very good. Well, I think Betsy said it pretty well. And the sad truth is that this building is in pretty rough shape and has been for a long time. It's been vacant and unoccupied, I believe, for 20 years or close to it. And in the presentation, I'll show you briefly, there will be a record from the Hyannis Fire Department essentially condemning the building back in 2015 and noting many of the structural deficiencies that are present. The issues with the building do not enable us to repair or retrofit it in any meaningful way, given the number of issues that are present. So in our materials, we describe the building as being constructed in approximately 1935, and that it consists of approximately 8,254 square feet of commercial space. The building's primarily brick with a mostly flat rubber roof, and it has a combination gable, ridge, and valley roof facing Main Street. The facade includes a glass storefront and entryway, and in its history, the building's been used as a grocery store, art gallery, museum, and restaurant. That was our description on our application. In our application materials, we provided several Google Maps street views along with an overhead GIS map demonstrating mostly flat. We've also put together this presentation which shows additional photos of the property. Here it obviously is fronting on Main Street. To the right is the vacant lot immediately adjacent to it. That's 345 Main Street. Let's see if this clicker will work for me. Okay, here's just another GIS map to allow everyone to get their bearings as far as what we're talking about. The building being highlighted in light blue. This is a document we pulled off of Macris. It shows, again, construction occurred in 1935. It described the building as a colonial
I'm
revival.
having a slight technical problem. I just have to play with the screen for a second.
Okay, sure.
No problem, and thank you for keeping up on that. Sorry for the interruption.
No problem.
I'm gonna go back
knew I would screw
to, all we
something
can
up.
see is Corey's presentation for some reason, so.
Would you like us to start again?
No, it's fine. Let me just, where's the keyboard? Sorry.
Escape this or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you don't mind.
Here, I'll let you-
Yeah. I'm just gonna close this for a sec, sorry.
Sure.
It will let me, maybe it won't. Okay.
Are we playing that music that says technical difficulties stand by?
Right. So your drive is not
What's going around?
here. It's so hard to see from so far away.
Although that's why I'm here. I know you are.
Good picture.
It's the other one, I'm sorry.
Oh, what's the other one? Oh, sorry. I'll let you go back and.
Where do we need to
Can I
take it
borrow
back
the
to?
Sure. Rachel, can you see that?
I cannot, I'm sorry.
I think it has something to do with it's showing on here, but because it's not going through our system, that's why we can't see it. Do you have it electronically by chance, or can I take it into my office, throw it on the T drive and then pull it up that way? Like it's showing up here, but the feed is not grabbing it for the people watching on TV. So that's the problem we're having.
So can you take it from a flash drive and put it onto the T?
We're gonna say the
Yeah, that's what
same
I'm
thing.
gonna try to
Yeah.
do.
Sure, go ahead.
So you mind if I do that real quick?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, once you close all that out.
Could you do both
Yep,
on there?
I can do both.
Okay.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Okay, no problem.
I want everyone to be able to see.
It's gonna take a few minutes. What about giving everyone a few minute break or something if they wanted to?
Another agenda item you want to take that's not,
Well, the thing is, nothing can go up here right now, so it's a matter of.
accept the minutes.
Ready to go?
For the historical
Okay.
society.
So, where do we leave off? We're,
We can take it from the top.
okay, that's fine.
This is a picture facing Main Street. Obviously, next to the building is 345 Main Street. That's presently a vacant lot. This is a GIS map showing the overhead. The property in question's highlighted in the light blue border. This is some information we pulled from Macris describing the building as a colonial revival style, having been constructed in 1935, been used as an art gallery, market, or grocery store with the common name of Richard's Galleries. We found this document in the town Laserfiche. This is a report purportedly issued from the Hyannis Fire Department back in 2015. The building at that time was rated as having a moderate potential for early collapse, moderate potential for a multi-room fire on arrival. Structural concerns included significant roof and floor rot, roof deterioration, partial collapse of interior floors, numerous holes in the floors. The floors are rotted. And an engineer indicated that the building itself was a collapse hazard and do not enter. The building was marked with a red X in November 18, 2014. The report indicates it was boarded up and secure. We have some additional views from Main Street of the front and side of the building. It's very long with very little breakups in the wall and little change in materials, mostly brick. Here are some additional views from 345 Main Street. You'll see in the foreground of both pictures, number of loose pallets. Unfortunately, given the property's current condition.
No, that's not like it. Right.
Excuse me, you'll have an opportunity to speak. Please don't interrupt me again.
I will give public comment to everyone who, okay?
We have a number of items shown in the foreground. Given the property's condition, it is attractive as a dumping ground for folks to put trash and other refuse there, which often falls on Marcello to clean up and keep in an orderly condition. Here are some additional views from the rear. The town parking lot would be the vantage point of this building. And some additional views from Ocean Street. Again, no real change in materials, no real change in the facade. It's all brick, straight down the way. And that is the conclusion of our presentation. If you,
Just a couple other comments. Back in 2007, this building was approved for demolition and a new building to be built. Since that time, it's gotten worse. There's problems with vandalism. Windows are constantly being broken down there. There's been problems with homeless people breaking into the building and entering into the building. So it's just not savable and really needs to come down as quickly as possible. Mr. Malegny has been working on this project. He originally was financing it back in 2007. Over time, he ended up having to foreclose on it, and he started working on this project in 2019. COVID hit, and he started again in 2022 and is really kind of bringing this thing forward. But there's no rational purpose for putting money into this building other than to tear it down. We'd be happy to answer any questions you may have regarding the request for the demolition.
Are we doing this separately, or are we gonna do
Hold on.
demolition?
Have you finished your presentation on that?
On the demolition, yes.
Okay, so that wanted to know on that. So it's for the demolition and also for a new building. Do you want to take them separately, which is where Commissioner Doherty was going on this, or do you want to do them together?
Whatever the board's preference and practice is, we're happy either way.
Our practice is to let you do it whichever way you would like to do. You can have them together, and you can
Sure,
have
we'll
them separately.
continue our presentation and we'll go for
It's up to you.
the new building as well.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you, I did, but I wanted to clarify they were done with that part of it on that. I'm not blocking you guys, you're here.
Madam Chair, can we begin?
Oh, yes, sorry.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So again, my name is Patrick Nickerson, attorney for the applicant, Marcella Malegny, as manager of Born Van Associates LLC. As Attorney Kenny just referenced, plans to redevelop this property have been in the works for almost 20 years. In fact, there was a signed regulatory agreement back in 2007 for a similar project. Due to the financial crisis and difficulties, they were not able to proceed at that time. But hopefully, you'll find that the choice in aesthetics and materials are approvable and we can move forward. So this is our cover page of our presentation. This shows a view of Ocean Street and Main Street. If you can orient yourselves that way, with the left side of the page running down Ocean Street, the right side of the page running down Main Street. We have proposed a mixed-use building, 4 stories in height, consisting of approximately 3,860 square feet of first-floor commercial space, proposing a restaurant, and 22 dwelling units on the remaining second, third, and fourth floors in total. We are proposing, 9 units on the second floor, 9 units on the third floor, and 4 units on the fourth floor. There is also 25 parking spaces provided under the rear of the building, behind the restaurant. Entrances to those garages would be from Ocean Street and also from the town parking lot. This slide gives you an idea of our site, along with setbacks between 2.2 feet and 8.6 feet. Calls out some of the specificities we just went over regarding amount of restaurant space, amount of units, parking spaces. And with the approval of the town, improved sidewalks on Main Street and Ocean Street would also be provided. You can see the entrances to the rear by the parking lot, and also the entrance on Ocean Street marked by black arrows, along with the black arrow for entrance for residents. Oh, looks like I'm having an issue with my clicker. Let's see. Yeah.
Corey, are you able to help
Yeah,
now?
they're not advancing from the keyboard either, so.
Tap it on the side.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Can I just?
Yeah, sure.
And Corey, it won't advance for you over there?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking, you could do it, but if you want. Is there a way to do it for them to just do that, and I'll stand up there and move the arrows forward?
It's Corey, can you see these blue arrows from over there?
Yep.
So, whoop, if you click that, we'll go to the next one.
Okay.
Sorry,
Thank you.
put this over here. Actually, I'm gonna give it back to you because it might work when you're on a PowerPoint, not on a.
And if it goes out again, I'm happy to stand up there and actually.
Okay, thank you. The elevations may have been hard to read in our submittal, so we thought it was important to blow them up as big as possible, display them on the screen for you to see.
Call you back.
This is the north elevation. We're showing a decent amount of brick facade on the north, along with, we tried to make an architecturally interesting building. We have a cupola on the left side. We have 2 gable fronts on the right side of the building, and what could be fairly described, I think, as a hip roof facing Main Street. This is also done intentionally to try and reduce the massing of the 4-story building by not having another level of windows or porches or decks along that upper level. So by designing the building facing Main Street this way, we have tried to be receptive to the streetscape offering an architecturally interesting building and also trying to minimize the scale of the building. You could do the next slide, Corey. This is the east elevation, so going down Ocean Street. You can see the four gable roofs along with the additional windows up there for the 4 units. The cupola is visible from the right. We're showing a fair amount of brick on the first floor in keeping with the current structure, which is all brick. There's also some tasteful entryways to the upper levels for folks to be able to have time outdoors. To the next slide. This is the south elevation. This would be facing the town parking lot. On the left, there's a garage door for entry. Again, we're showing, I submit our aesthetically pleasing gables fronting towards the town parking lot. Mixtures in materials coupled with brick and hardy siding. And some additional porches and entryways for residents to have small outdoor spaces.
Can I ask you a quick question? I'm so sorry. The slide before this, you had another door. Was that an entrance to the building as well, a garage entrance? If you don't mind going back 1 second.
I was just gonna ask that.
That one right there, is that a garage as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry, thank you.
That's okay.
Actually, well, we'll get on to the questions in a moment. Excuse me, but we haven't gone to public comment yet. You will get a chance to speak. If you could please respect the applicants, being able to make their presentation.
Thank you.
Please continue.
So, thank you.
I think we've covered that one. This is the slide of the west elevation. This would be facing Jack's Drum Shop. On the site plan, we're showing 3 or 4 foot walkway between the 2 buildings. So obviously, we don't see the Jack's building here or the rest of the other buildings on Main Street, but this shows what the west elevation would appear like. Fair amount of brick on the first floor, upper floors being James Hardy siding with Anderson windows and other tasteful dormers on the right side, open porch on the left side for the upper story.
It's actually going to be the hardy plank on that side, isn't it?
Yeah, we're gonna just cover that, I think, just between the differences. So this is a rendering we submitted. There's a couple things to note with this rendering. We are showing a brick that appears more gray in scale than what the color will actually appear. The actual color we have proposed is this here, Route 66, which is more of a brown. It does appear gray on the screen. We've since had the rendering improved, and we have color copies that we can share and pass around. So
These both the same?
No, these are the gray bricks.
Yeah.
So really, if your preference is gray, we can go gray.
So it's being either one of these, is that what you're saying?
Yes,
I was
that's
just
what
wondering
we-
if this
That's
is
what we
going to a
submitted,
different
we
spot.
circled both of these.
Okay, I'm gonna pass this over to Harry. It is heavy when you, so be prepared.
So we also have some improved.
I just wanna see them,
Let me help you.
or see them side by side.
I
just
want
wanna
to use
see-
it
I
as a
just wanna see
stand.
them
Do we have
side by
another
side.
stand in here,
Well,
proper
actually
one?
prefer to pass them out.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
I just looked.
Okay.
Do we have any
That's all right. Do you want me to give you a hand?
I think I got it. Thank you.
So this is the Route 66 brick. We've had the markups adjusted to be more color consistent.
So this is the browner of the
Down there.
two.
Correct.
Thank you very much. That's the gray, right?
Send that around.
Oh, okay.
We got multiple sets.
Gil's Pub.
Yeah? Oh, they're all the same, so.
Oh, what was that? Yeah, we've got 2 more. These are the same.
And this is the red, okay.
This is the Route 66 brick. What's shown on the screen is closer to, I think it's called Leo's Pub.
Yes.
A little grayer.
And that's Route 66 right here?
Yeah.
Got it. I saved it.
If you like, this is some of the.
Okay.
Bear with us a minute, we'll get you some seats.
That's a Route 66.
This is a set. So it's not.
Patrick, are these the same color, these two?
Those two are the same.
So it's just the angle that's changing.
Yeah,
This is that's the gray, that's the different one.
Yeah, this is the gray, that's the Leo's Pub.
It's the pub guy.
Okay.
That's Leo's Pub, that's gray.
One of the things those renderings show is the different bump outs and changes. We tried not to have.
Oh, I see, okay.
Tom, as vice chair, I'm helping with chairs.
These are all the,
You're in charge for a bit?
66.
Yeah.
Just waiting to see if you take this here. Oh, that's fine. No, that's good. Yeah, that's it.
This is the other one here.
Oh, thank you. Awesome.
Want to put them over here?
So is this different? Because this doesn't look the same as this.
All those are different vantage points. This is facing Main Street and Ocean Street. This is facing the parking lot.
But they're the same architect?
Thank you, Town Councilor Clark and Tori and Karen for helping with this.
Would anybody like to see the big pub? The pub one, you good? Thank you very much.
They're great.
Anybody want to go to a pub? Just checking, I'm just making sure everybody's good.
Yeah, there's children involved.
That's right. Well, that just happened. I can't be expected to know that's coming.
They said this is the gray that, yeah. This is the brown.
I'd like to read these.
Just a few other things I wanted to point out about the renderings is,
Let's show them the plan. So, the plans oh boy. Okay, so these plans were drawn up in 2022, and as often occurs developing a building like this, the applicant will receive lots of opinions and help and guidance throughout the process over the past couple of years. So we just wanted to show out some slight differences between the renderings and the site plan. And we'll ask at some point for your conditional approval of our submittal, and the condition that we provide updated site plan elevations to match the renderings. So if anyone, it doesn't matter quite which one you choose, whether it's Route 66 or Leo's Pub, but if you're looking at the elevation from Main Street, you can get an idea of what the rendering down Ocean Street looks like. And if you're looking down Ocean Street on a rendering, you'll notice there's a mixture of brick and hardy, but on the site plan, we're just showing all brick. So this is something we'll have to adjust on our site plan elevation because we find the mixture of materials is more aesthetically pleasing, helps break up the building, etc.
Awesome, thank you.
Similarly, there's some bump outs shown on the renderings, I think between, about 3-foot bump outs shown on the rendering, which are done at additional cost to try and break up the massing and improve the appearance of the building that are not shown on the site plan.
So just making sure I understand you. So you mean you're talking about these bump out columns here and then the hardy that's in between them?
yeah, and up top here.
Yep,
Correct.
And then you've also got, decks,
yep.
just to change,
See ya.
break up the facade, so it's.
But the
not
whole
a-
thing about the brick, that's what you're talking about, is those hardy.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Correct. And then if you were to look at either the Route 66 or Leo's Pub elevation from the town lot, there's some extra fenestration that's shown on the site plan that's not shown on the rendering. So some additional edits will need to be made to the elevation site plan, but it's our intention that the renderings are the proposal tonight.
That elevation there, it was recommended we eliminate some of the windows and doors because we didn't want people going into the parking area. That's a reason for the elimination of those, so that there'll be the elevated, the garage door to open up, and it's pretty much it from that side, other than I think an entrance for residents.
So how do you get to the garage? The dark is underground? Excuse me, can you wait till public comment, please? You will have an opportunity.
You're saying these windows wouldn't be there?
There's a couple will be there. There's just more of them shown on this site plan that will
Gotcha.
need to be taken off the site plan.
So there's basically one door, one garage in the back, even though it shows you
I'm sorry.
6 or 7 of them there. Gotcha,
You're
okay.
looking at the front elevation. We're referring to the rear. See?
The rear, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. These are
I got
entrances
it.
towards the
Okay,
restaurant.
so the garage door is just, I was looking at,
Yeah.
okay, so this is back.
This here's Ocean Street.
Yeah,
That's the parking
got
lot.
it, okay.
Okay.
I know you covered it, but just to be sure,
Yeah.
does the garage go underground or is that at ground level?
It's ground level, not underground.
That was one of my questions, well then.
The total height of the building is what, 83?
That's the elevation. It's first floor elevation shown at 37.6. Ceiling height is shown at 83.45. So the difference of the two, I've
Is there a
submitted as the
basement
height.
as well?
How high is that over the surrounding buildings?
In addition to this, that we're seeing here?
I don't have heights of surrounding buildings. There's a 3-story building 2 doors down that has apartments on the upper level, the first floor commercial. There is a small basement for storage, and I think that's under the restaurant space. Under the restaurant space.
If I
There's not a-
recall
there's
correctly,
not
I
a-
think this building's 80-some odd feet, the one we're in.
I'm unclear, I'm sorry, there was a little conversation
So,
going on.
I'm sorry, I'm getting multiple questions at once.
Yeah,
There is a
sorry.
small basement under the restaurant space for storage, and there is no space underneath the garage.
Okay,
But these are the surrounding buildings. What is the height of this building? Like, this is what you're gonna be next to these buildings. So what is the height?
We don't have the heights for those buildings for tonight. And if that's something you'd like us
Don't
to
we
try
have
and.
something in the guidelines that it has to be a certain amount of feet from the,
Tom, I couldn't hear your question. I couldn't hear your question.
We wanted to know what the height was.
No, but then I couldn't hear what you were saying
next
after.
to these buildings?
Yeah, I'd like to know also, yeah.
We don't have those figures tonight. We can try and get them if that information is something that'd be helpful to you. And
I will say that, I mean, the zoning allows four stories. And this has been designed so that on Main Street, it gives the appearance of 3 floors to kind of, to bring it down. And then the 4th floor is towards the back and out the back. But if you were to say that you've got to be within X number of feet of this abutting buildings, you're never going to have any change on Main Street. It's zoned for it, but if we've got to be whatever those buildings are.
We kind of plan the guidelines for gradual.
Right.
If it was, you could do something like, so you're not, jumping up, like, you're like a 50-foot building, and you go into an 80-foot building. What we did in the guidelines, we wanted a mixture of 2-story, 3-story, and 4 stories. So it was gradual, not that you're coming across where you're gonna have low buildings and all of a sudden you're gonna have this big high building.
I understand your point, but 4 stories are allowed as of right there, so.
I understand that, but our guidelines, we asked if we could break it up a little bit. This is a massive building in this little lot.
We've tried to break it up, but if we could just finish the last point, this is the west elevation. We don't have a rendering that's been submitted in your packet tonight.
The west is from the drum shop side?
Correct, yep, that's the drum shop side. We're showing a fair amount of brick there. The intent would be to do more hardy siding on this elevation as
Can I-
opposed to brick.
You want to ask a question? That lot that's on the other side in between the two buildings,
Yeah.
is that your client's lot? Does he own that lot?
He does, yep.
Is there any plans, I mean, I don't want to jump the gun here, but are there any plans to put something there, or is that going to stay
this-
open?
The new building covers that.
It covers the whole thing?
Yeah.
This,
Okay,
the
gotcha.
building covers both of them.
Yep, it does.
Thank you.
May I ask?
Yep.
Do you know the distance between the west wall And the closest abutter,
About 4 feet.
okay, and that's a passageway in between?
That's what's proposed.
Thank
Yep.
you.
So right now, we are on, just to clarify, for the applicants and also for those present. What we have done so far is to have the presentation, and the commissioners have been asking questions with regard to the, for the presentation for clarification. I always wait to ask my questions till last, because at least half of them disappear by commissioners. Well done, Commissioner Clark, on that question, and I didn't think that would come up with. After that, Commissioner Matthews?
I'm sorry, I wanted to answer Tom's question about the regulations. I have that
Okay, yes,
whenever
please.
you're ready.
No, go ahead.
It says, this is in regulations, building design regulations A for building form. A subset 3 says to retain the historic form and massing of the neighborhood of, wrong one. Number 4, in order to maintain neighborhood historic character, and abutting structures building height shall be considered when proposing new construction. The proposed elevation directly abutting an existing structure or an abutting property shall not be greater than 15 feet. The moderate height increase shall be maintained for no less than 30 feet before additional increase in height is considered. So that is, I believe that's the regulation you're talking about.
Yes, it is.
And that's brand new.
That's up to date.
Yeah.
That's
That's
the
the
part that's already
up-to-date.
been accepted, but there's still one page that's been reserved. Just to carry on with that, after we've finished with our questions on the presentation, I will then open it up for public comment. Depending on how many people are going to be speaking, we'll decide if we're going to be, if limiting some of that, it's limiting the time for that. But everyone will have an opportunity to speak. Did want to ask, are the kids okay over there? Yeah. Yeah, you sure? Okay. So then we will come back after public comment. I'll leave it open until the motions. We'll come back for deliberation with the commissioners, open deliberation on how we respond to it. I will then close public comment, and we will then decide what we're going to do. So I have a few questions on the presentation, if you don't mind. Actually, I have 13 of them.
Oh my God.
If you answered some of these, it's still in the same condition pretty much as it was when it was agreed for to be torn down, is that right?
What are we talking about, the existing building?
The existing buildings.
It's in worse condition than
It's
before.
in worse, okay, in other words, nobody's gone in and replaced the floors and all that kind of
No,
stuff?
nothing's been done.
Still as in that. We've done a great job on the plans. One of the things I would like to ask about is lights. I didn't see any lights on them. Unless I missed them. Outdoor lights, safety at entrances perhaps,
Along Main Street as well,
along the Main Street.
and Ocean.
Michelle, any lights?
I need
we can-
outside
we
lighting.
can,
Is there any existing? Is there any existing
They
lighting
are
there?
not in the drawings, but they are lights to be shown on it.
Well, it would just,
Most buildings will have at least lights at the entrances.
well, I can't speak what's under the overhangs of the building, especially with the cupola.
Oh, and that was another question, is the cupola lit?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
We don't have a lighting plan, but
They cover on the roof, they have the lighting.
we plan to be lit with cupola. Yeah. So some lighting would be proposed, and we could call out what that would be and where it would be.
Okay.
Certainly, yeah,
That's one of the things I would like to see.
sure.
Also with regard to shrubbery, trees, and, any type of landscaping that happens to be there. I mean, I saw a couple trees, I don't know if that's just it, I think 2 trees there, is there any
Yeah.
plants along the side or anything like that?
That would be subject to town approval.
Yep.
On the site plan we shared, we're showing we're not showing much room between our setbacks, which is encouraged under present zoning. We're showing between 2.2 feet on the upper left-hand corner and then 8.6 feet on this rear corner. There is not a tremendous amount of room to do landscaping on our own lot, along with, because we are trying to promote walkability by having the extra passageway on the west elevation, with town approval, would be improving this sidewalk as well as this sidewalk on Main Street, but, you know, we could, in our conversations with the town, explore opportunities for some landscaping within the town right of way.
Most of the sidewalk is town-owned, about 3 or 4 feet is within our property line, but public utilizes it. And we've had some meetings with the town, and we've asked for an opportunity to improve the sidewalk along the front of the building and all the way down Ocean Street to the edge of our building, to the entrance to the town parking lot. Combination of brick and pavers. That we need to get the engineering department's approval, because I guess they've had some issues with some of the bricks over in Barnstable Village and trip and falls and things like that. So we're waiting, we've made that request, it's not really within our control.
Next thing would be trash removal. Is that gonna be through the garage, or what's the plan there?
On the site
Are there
plan,
gonna be dumpsters, or how is that being dealt with?
on this slide here, this may be blocking the view of it, but the trash is indicated to be stored out here towards the rear of the building.
Oh yeah, proposed dumpster area.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, it is blocking it.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, but that's not a problem. I just didn't read behind the square. So is that going to be an outdoor dumpster then, I think? How's that?
Yes,
There'll be two, one inside the building, one right.
there's two, one inside, one outside. Okay.
It'll be at the back. Probably would want some sort of clarification on that. Yeah, in other words, you wouldn't want it out by the road, it's not by the road where it can be seen. And I asked if the cupola was going to be lit. I'll come back to this one. The garage doors, that was Commissioner Matthews, thank you very much, or no, it's Commissioner Clark, thank you, about the garage doors. So the parking spaces are going to be underneath.
Underneath the building, but not underground. One garage door will have
First floor.
access. The first floor.
Okay,
One garage door will have access to 12 vehicles, the other will allow access to 13.
and are they connected underneath or not?
No, I think there's a wall that divides them.
It's like a barrier.
Probably a structural wall would be my guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that. And with regard to the top 2/3 of it, the colors there are pretty much what you have here, is that correct?
We brought some materials, I'm sorry, I forgot about this until now, but this is the,
That's our job to cover, yeah, whatever wasn't
that's the hardy
sent out.
plank. That's the gray, and this is the white AZEC.
Thank you.
If you're not familiar with that, please.
Thank you. All right,
Do you have it?
and where's the AZEC going?
The AZEC is all the white trim you see
Okay,
on the upper
gotcha.
floors.
And the hardy obviously is all the plank, all the siding.
We have Anderson windows,
Yeah.
Anderson windows throughout.
That AZEC's probably $100.
But this one's textured, they're pretty much the same color in my opinion, rather than gray and white. Just one is
Thank
textured,
you.
that's the only real difference. Can you pass
I
that?
see
Can
a
you
difference.
pass that down to Commissioner Matthews? Can we put them up side by side? Sure. Do that. Side by side so we can see the contrast and the
Pass
colors.
them around like that.
Oh, yes, so it's supposed to have a grayish tint, got it.
Yes, just a
Okay.
little.
All right.
When it's a whole 6-seater, like, part, it looks pretty much the same. Okay, thank you. So that was one of the things I had. Do you have you're saying how this was part of it's the former site plan? Do you have the completely updated?
The updated elevations? No,
Yeah.
not yet.
I would be interested in knowing what that is,
Okay.
for clarification. And, well, if we go back to that as well. And I agree with, I think it was Commissioner Doherty, the height in comparison to the surrounding buildings. With it would be interesting to know, well, give us an idea on that. Garage is taken care of, and fenestration and trim. you have the samples of some of that more intricate trim that you were, or is that what?
That's the
That's
trim you
just
see is the white AZAC, and the windows themselves are black.
Windows themselves are black.
And the garage doors would be black
The
also?
garage doors aren't black. We had submitted in our application a color sheet from the overhead door company. It was called out as industrial brown. We thought that would blend better with the brick as opposed to a white or black or something that would stand out and contrast.
Okay. All right.
I saw that on one of the sheets. I would like to see it, be able to see it next to whichever brick you choose.
Okay. We can get that.
That's great, thank you.
Okay, and I just had another question, went right out of my mind. So I'm going to ask one, if you could explain for the commission, also for those present, for Hipwood, I like the idea of the 3-story and then going in a bit. I think that has made a significant difference because to me, it helps to keep with character. Can I ask staff, Corey, do you have anything to add from the staff perspective, from planning?
No, there needs to be, an agreement, approval through the site plan review process in terms of access to the town parking lot. All that stuff needs to be worked out through the site plan review process.
And that hasn't been worked out yet. But that's not really for us to work out, I don't think. Yeah, that's outside. I'm sorry.
Madam Chair, if I may respond, we're working with the town on that access through the parking lot. We're actually going to end up closing the existing entrance and moving it down a little bit to have more separation from the entrance to the building and the entrance to the parking lot. So there'll still be 2 entrances to the town parking lot. And then there'll also be a sidewalk off the back of the building, a concrete sidewalk that we'll be putting in and maintaining. And we're asking for an easement from the town to enter into the parking lot and then into the garage. And as part of all of that, our client will be repaving that parking lot as part of the project. So there'll be some improvements that benefit the town.
Okay. Corey, is there anything in here? I didn't see anything that doesn't meet the minimum requirements. I mean, there's nothing in violation.
I have a lot,
Okay, please.
Oh, what?
We're not finished.
Oh, no, we're not finished. No.
The way you were wrapping it up, it was
No, I'm
like
not
you were
wrapping it up.
saying
I'm just
something
asking,
wrong.
I'm still with staff asking for confirmation. Is there anything that you see in a direct violation off the top?
In terms of materials,
Yes.
no.
Okay, that's
At
what
your
I just wanna make
discretion,
sure.
you can approve these materials.
Okay, just wanted to make sure the materials are all, okay. It looks to me like they're all within requirements. So, obviously there's a lot more. Don't worry, we're not wrapping this up yet. We got a long way to go. Any other questions on the presentation?
Yeah.
Yes, Commissioner Doherty.
First of all, I think the height thing is very important to me, how it comes in from the other towns. Because, these are beautiful buildings that are around this whole corner. And to me, this building is just going to be, massive. It is massive for the size of the lot. The way I look at it, what is the length, about 150, 160 feet on the side?
Roughly.
Nobody wants this corner cleaned up more than me. Okay, I live down at the end of Ocean Street. I go past it all the time. We have hundreds of thousands of tourists that go down Barnstable Road to the boats going to Nantucket, and it sets a tone for the town. I think it's a very, very important corner. To me, this is massive. I would like to see something like in our guidelines, that is more graduated. Okay, you hid the 4th floor, but they're 4 floors there, okay? I would like to see graduated buildings, more 4 stories, 3 stories. This is a tiny lot. To me, this is gonna be gigantic, for that small piece of property. And I'm all for the development, don't get me wrong. I just think it's way too big. Even the looks of it, you did a lot of, great detail in the work, but it doesn't fit Cape Cod. okay? This fits Cape Cod. That's my opinion.
Other than the size, are there any things we can look to improve on?
And the size is the big thing. It's just massive to me.
Specifically the height?
The height, again, this is what I would like. You know, this is on our guidelines. You know, they do a lot of this development in Mashpee Commons. And it looks beautiful. It graduates with all the stores, okay? This, we're gonna have all our old stores and then this big building. I just think it's way too high, okay? I want it developed, don't get me wrong. I think it needs to be developed, but I think it needs to be done in a nicer way.
What we get on the other side of those little stores is at least 3 floors, maybe 4, I'm not sure.
On here,
Sure.
On the other side of the little stores that are between us and the town green that you're referring to for the
you
height.
don't see them, you don't notice it, you know.
You don't notice that big brick building on Main Street?
It's the same height as this building.
Right on the edge of the town green. There's a town green, there's a big red brick building, then there's that little plaza, and then.
You're
talking the Pyramid
No, cross
It's the
on
old, it's the old Masonic building.
the old Masonic building, thank you,
And I
yes.
think that would help to see that dynamic here,
Excuse me.
along with that.
Sir, would you like to come up and join us? Because you're the actual applicant, is that correct? You're representing him, is that correct?
We are, I mean, he's free to join if he wants, if not.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to answer
I'm
the
just
question
thinking
to
it might
Mr. Doherty
be, keep him a little
about the height of the
protected.
building. The third building driving down at the left side of Main Street is exactly the same height of the new building in the front.
Would you feel more comfortable joining us up here?
That's okay.
I noticed there's kind of
No, I just
conversation.
wanted to answer the
Yeah,
height of the
no,
building.
I was just, I wanted to
So
make sure
the
you were
red
not.
brick building,
Yeah.
3 buildings down, driving down Main Street in the same side,
Yeah.
it's the same height.
Fair enough, thank you so much.
These are the new guidelines that we just adopted, okay? And there's a height variation now that we have to follow. So we don't come across that again, where you have, you know, all 2-story buildings, then all of a sudden you got a 4-story building.
We're trying to accommodate that by offering a hip roof facing Main Street. You don't have 4 stories of windows, porches, etc. We're trying to work with your guidelines in such a way that this project is bankable because you need the 4th floor given the cost of construction. And given all the ornamentals that we're doing, we haven't even discussed the number of corbels that we're providing for all the top tier materials we're proposing to use. The costs of construction are enormous. We need the 4th floor, but we're respectful for your guidelines, which is why we're shrinking the massing by offering the hip roof facing Main Street, and you see more of the height throughout the back.
You know, we have people come through and we did it on the harbor. They wanted to put a 6-story condo.
That was our client.
Right, and it was, you know, it was your client?
Yes.
And, you know, it wasn't feasible to do smaller buildings. Now, you know, 2 years later, we got a 3-story building, you know, so.
Well, I don't mean to interrupt, but look at the 2 buildings that were proposed versus what's being built versus what was proposed. And they're nowhere near as architecturally significant as what was proposed.
I think they came out nicely.
No, he's doing a very nice job there, I'm not, but those other 2 buildings on School Street had underground garages, underground parking with elevators, and it was a Class A building. So I'm not knocking what he's doing, I'm just saying, to say, you know, well, no, now suddenly it's only a 3-story building. It was 29 units versus 50 some odd units.
And I'm not saying you can't have 4 stories. I just said I wanted more graduated. Okay, and I wanted to follow the guidelines from, you know, the older buildings going to the newer buildings. And we don't even know that height. You don't even know the height of the buildings next to you.
We've got Ocean Street on one side, and we've got a building on the other. It's not within our purview to try and adjust their height. We're working within the boundaries that we have. We're trying to be respectful of the guidelines. We're trying to do the best we can.
So we don't want to get into an argument. I think we get what you're trying to say. Commissioner Kay, you had something to say.
Yeah, one of the things that may be confusing to a lot of people on these drawings. it says the first floor is elevation 3760, the second floor is 51. That's sea level to the floor. What we don't have and should have is the first floor should be 0. The second floor should be whatever the second floor height is. And we need the top of the highest part of the building to be the top of the building. We don't have those dimensions. All of this information is based on sea level, so it's very confusing for the average person to look at this and go, you've got an 83-foot tall building and you're not showing me the top of the roof. And it's not that high. It's not that height at all. So it might be helpful if this document just showed the actual dimensions of the building from the first floor to the top of the roof. Once we get sea level involved here, not the average person is gonna pick that up, just some of us nuts that work in this field. We notice that stuff. So it can be very confusing to go, we're 83 feet at the ceiling of the 4th floor. This would make this building almost 100 feet tall if it was going from, you follow what I'm saying? It simplifies the magnitude of what this building looks like. It's certainly not from the sidewalk to the top of the roof, these dimensions.
I should point out that Commissioner Kay has been an AIA architect for how many years? Decades?
A long time.
But in all fairness to the applicants, I should also point out that they did say that they needed to get the updated elevations. So perhaps that would be something
It would really
along with that
help.
line.
Sure, yeah.
And Commissioner Wentworth, you also had your
Is
hand
this
up.
comment, is this comment or questions? Can I-
Right
I still have
now,
questions.
we are still on questions, clarifications. and-
Okay, clarifications. I think for me, some of the colors, I can't tell, like under the corbels, this is still white up here, right? I'm just seeing a
Correct.
shadow.
Yep, white,
But the rails for the, is this a deck area or simply a barrier? This rail?
it's a deck area with the
Deck
black
areas, so the
rail.
deck areas are they black as according to the picture?
Correct, yep.
And then you'd have, I like the way it breaks up, and you say the window frames are black,
Correct.
so it breaks up nicely. So this is just shading I see up here. It looks black, but I think it's just a shadow, a shadow.
Yeah.
And the other thing I find particularly appealing, which is, we've encouraged other projects, the way you create that shift from the entrance areas here, and I noticed a couple along here, you changed that. And I'm on the record at previous meetings that this technique, and I'm certainly not speaking as Jack could speak, but this is wonderful, the way you take multiple storied buildings and make them look like a much more modest building and still have that. I mean, we know it's 500 years old in Paris and other places that have used this technique, so it's not a modern, clearly it can be identified as something that's been used for many years. This is lovely. It speaks to the character of certainly the whole harbor area. So I think that there's a lot about this that does help to break things up. I agree with Jack. I was sort of taken back when I saw his description of the numbers, so I don't have his kind of knowledge there.
None of us.
But when I didn't see that, I did like the perspective. So I think that'll really help for the understanding of how big the building really is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Clark, you look like you had a question.
I was gonna say, if you just subtract 37 from 84, it's pretty simple.
Oh, yeah.
Commissioner Cronin, I think you had something.
Yeah, I had a question. Again, I'm in looking at this as being very massive on that's a small lot, especially if we could see the graduation going from one building to another. It might help to not be so overwhelming. The other question I have is, you said you had setbacks of 2.2 and then 8 feet. Now, on the front,
He's showing you up here, go over it, yeah.
It's a range. Looks like the narrowest is the upper left corner, 2.2 feet. And widest is the bottom right at 8.6, according to this plan.
so the sidewalk in this rendering, it looks like it's huge. I mean, is this, how wide is this? Because this looks like you've given it a lot more walking space or sidewalk space in front of the building. It doesn't look like that there's that much space available to have that much.
It's a pretty significant sidewalk out front. I was surprised when I went down and take a look at it. I was just, go take a look. I was surprised too.
Because, so that would be my question, is it really this deep from the road back into there that would cut back on it? It's coming up right up to the
We're
sidewalk.
calling out, it looks like on this plan has some, looks like almost cobblestone here on the plan.
There's some brick up in
Yeah,
there.
okay, that's brick. So, I mean, just for a frame of reference, we're only talking about the setbacks to our own property line.
Right, that's why, but it looks like it's all together.
It's all town land.
Right.
And we can improve it with their permission.
Right.
No, this is an historic building, and I understand it's falling apart, and, it can't be saved. Is there any way you could save the facade of the front? Or build around that, to build, you keep the side, keep something original on the building? I don't know if that's even possible, but.
I don't think so.
Are we talking about the demolition now? Are we still talking about the?
No, incorporating
Right.
the building into the old, no, the demolition, I understand. I was just thinking if there's anything like the front wall or the side wall could be kept and built onto that.
It wouldn't be able to support anything up above it. It's just.
It's 8-inch wide, it's 8-inch wide brick. It's just 2 pieces of brick and it doesn't meet any current energy codes. Is that right? 8-inch?
The foundation won't support anything, everything is correct, everything is.
Just a question.
Can I ask, is there anything on the inside? And the reason I bring that up is one of the other properties that we were dealing with had this wonderful mural inside that they were going to salvage and put in the next building because it was part of the original thing. I don't know if there was anything on the inside. It doesn't look like there's anything on the
I
outside.
haven't dared go in or even asked to go in. I would just,
Everything came in.
I would discourage
Everything
The last
anyone.
5 years, all the inside walls, because there hasn't been any insulation.
Got it, okay.
We've tried to pay some tribute to the building by keeping with brick that was there.
Okay.
I just had a
So Commissioner
comment
Craig,
on the building, the old building itself, and I understand it's not salvageable today, but again, Hyannis seems like it has properties that are demolition by neglect more than just demolition, and I think that's a shame.
It is a
that
shame.
Someone has the property, I understand it's not safe, people are using it for dumping grounds. That's the property owner. That's the person who owns the property. It should have been secured, or when it was originally determined to be put out there. I mean, it just is a shame that we have to keep seeing it time and time again. And this is not the only one that's doing it, so I'm not just singling out this owner. It's over, and we've seen it through this commission time and time again, where, maybe back in 2007, I don't know, I wasn't on the commission then, it got permission to demolish, but maybe there were different criteria that we want to try to do to save it, but I just think it's a shame that we've got a property that was just allowed to just deteriorate over years, and now we're saying, okay, yeah, let's take it down, and let's just put up this massive building, but
And just to be clear, we don't know that it was this owner that.
No, I don't, that's why I said, I'm not saying it's this owner, what I'm saying is this property, whoever had the property through this time,
Okay,
it should have kind of secured it.
yes. So, all right, so
Excuse me?
Commissioner Matthews.
Yeah, I have a handful of things here to ask.
Sure.
First of all, real quickly, commercial space, is that just the restaurant or are there other things with the restaurant?
Just the restaurant.
Just the restaurant, okay. We talked about the entrance already in the parking. There's no way to access parking through Main Street, right? Everything's on Ocean Street? Okay, good.
Street and through the rear parking lot.
Okay. I like the red brick, by the way, better than the Route 66, better than the other one, the pub guy.
I
just to
agree with you.
let know. Okay, lighting. I'd like to see, there's really not a lot of lighting things. I'd like to see lighting at the entrances, lighting at the garage. And that back parking lot is yours, correct? The one right behind or no?
It's the town's parking lot.
That's the town parking lot, okay, then there's nothing you can do about that. Signs, again, I think that's important, just make sure the signs have to be, give us an idea of what you want to put there. It have to be lit from, from cone lights or something like that. I don't know what you call them, but the lights on the.
Gooseneck.
Yeah, exactly, the gooseneck lights. Landscaping, we've talked about, but again, that's not your parking lot back there, so it doesn't matter. The windows, are those all Anderson windows?
Yeah, Anderson 100, along with the patio doors.
Are they 2x2s or 1x1s or, do you know?
They had
2x2s.
pictures of them.
2x2s, okay. I agree, I'm also saddened that this building has to come down. It's one of the buildings when I first moved to the Cape and I first went on Main Street, I loved, especially because of the octagonal window. And I wish there was a way, somehow, you talk about paying tribute, I wish there was a way, maybe on that front thing, that you can have an octagonal thing to kind of remind me of what used to be. I love that feature of that building. That's my favorite feature. But again, you have to do what you have to do. And the past is the past, and whoever owned the building before didn't take care of it. And that really does stink, because if it wasn't for the fact that they had the fire department saying it's not salvageable, I wouldn't want to knock this building down. I think the building's great, but I understand the situations. I like the bump outs. The sidewalk is very large. By the way, during the meetings, I often open Google Maps so I can see what's being said and kind of picture it. Instead of just thinking in my mind, I can actually see it. That sidewalk's wide. You got the first path, which is the brick, and then the big sidewalk behind it. There is a lot of room there. And also, if you look down the street, this is a 4-story building. You're going to go down to Jack. You're going to go up a little bit to the T-shirt shop, and then up to the Masonic building. So there actually is a variety of heights that will do what we talked about of making heights of different sides going down the street. So that is, if you look on Google Maps, you'll see that is the case. So that's all I got, just a few things.
And I also like that idea with the octagonal, that might, putting that somewhere might salvage some thought of what was there. It was one of the first buildings I noticed when I moved here. As a thought, but anyway, so, have I missed any of the commissioners? I think I've got the pens up, the hands up, and the people asking if they could speak. I think I got everyone. Is there anyone else on clarification for what was presented? I am now going, well, actually, I can have a show of hands of how many people want to speak tonight.
On this issue?
Yes, on this issue. No. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think only 4.
I think 5.
Oh, you are, okay, you put your hand down on that. Okay, so 5. Kids still okay over there? I got you, don't I? Okay, so if we're gonna do 5, I am going to, ask, the people to come up, if you can try to keep it to 3 or 4 minutes, something like that. And we will see where it is. I would like to ask the woman over there, you were holding your cell phone up and whatever, you're not filming or anything?
I was just taking pictures of nameplates so I can reach out to you guys later.
Okay. I will tell you that on the town website, if you go on to the Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District Commission, all of our names are listed.
Yes, I've reached out and nobody's responded.
I haven't heard.
But you have to conduit through me.
Yeah.
Yes, I did reach to you, Karen, like a month ago.
I'll have to check. I don't recall.
I have not heard from.
No, you haven't, so.
So, anyway, why don't we start with you, because you have the kids, just in case you have to go. Would you like to come up and, actually, would the kids like to come up with you so you can sign in?
It's okay. We are here for a different agenda item, but.
You're, okay, so you're
but
not here.
I'm gonna comment about this too.
Okay, can I get you to come up and sign in?
Okay.
They can come up and sit with us.
They're all on the screen.
It's a good lesson, town government in action.
Democracy, yay!
Democracy, yay.
You want to sing the national anthem at the same time?
I don't know what the reference thing means.
We can fill that in.
Okay.
If you could state to the people here
So
who are.
I'm Cindy Martin. I'm a family that lives in Barnstable. I also work for a large nonprofit that serves for children and families on the Cape, and I'm also
Can you hold on a
on.
minute so people can hear you guys? I know I can't.
I've been interrupted, excuse me.
You guys gonna go?
Hold on a minute, because I certainly couldn't hear you.
I was looking to see if I had an agenda.
Never mind.
Yep, I got one.
So I'm Cindy Martin.
Yeah.
I work at a large nonprofit that serves children and families on the Cape. I just wanted to mention that, like at our last big reunion of nonprofits called Philanthropy Day, one person asked, "What is the biggest issue, like for the whole Cape?" And one of the top leaders of Cape Cod 5 said housing. So if we could all work together to make more housing. So it sounds like the level thing is gonna work out, but if you had to choose between getting rid of units because of some height, I'm just begging you all to please don't, because I wanna make sure that there's as much housing availability on the Cape, because that is a major crisis for, everybody on the Cape, but especially for families. And that's it.
Thank you very much. Is there another one in the corner over there? Nope. Okay. This gentleman here, if I could get you to sign in, please, and then state your name.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mike Dowd. I'm a resident of town. And for first one of these meetings I've been to, I guess I just have sort of a couple thoughts here. I'm not sure, you're the historic commission, but I'm not really sure in what manner of historic, you're looking to preserve. Because there's a lot of different things on Main Street. There's a lot of things that are being proposed to be built. And, I think the renderings look nice. But they never look as good when they're built as they do on the renderings. I don't think this is gonna look like historic Hyannis when it's done. I think it's gonna look like a new building with new materials, and I'm sure it's gonna be nice, and there'll be good people living there, but it's not, I don't think it's gonna be historic. Just like the captain's houses, the row houses. They really don't look historic anymore. The ones they tore down look really historic. So I'm not sure where you're going with all this, but, and I don't know when you say historic, what you're really looking to preserve and what style you're doing. But, it's challenging here, because if you don't build something like this, you can't afford to build it. So that's my comment.
We're gonna have to come up with another chair.
Why don't we just see how he cycles through?
He's just collecting the children.
Oh, that's right. Let me take a minute here, just allow the children to be collected. Oh, good, we ended up with some more chairs. So can we bring one of those chairs over here, and we're gonna bring the other one back up to the desk.
I think it'd be easier if you just came around and sat
Okay,
and
just
dragging your chair over everyone's head.
That's a good idea.
Knocking upside the head, then we get sued.
They're such pleasant thoughts.
Can happen.
Okay. You all settled there? Thank you for joining us. All right. All right, who next on this line here has wanted to do public comment tonight? Elizabeth, are you wanting to comment? At the end? Can you remind me at the end? Ma'am, would you like to come up?
Sure.
If you could sign your name and then state it, please.
And I'm Florence Bickle, and I am very involved in the Historical Society. I was in Connecticut, and we are full-time here now. in Hyannis, Barnstable. And I'm very disappointed at what's been going on with the new things of Hyannis and not keeping and kept with the historical waterfront. I see the plans, they're off scale, and I think the historical waterfront needs to pay attention to what is being proposed here, which I was a designer. It's a big X. There aren't any black windows, not many, on Main Street. It's a red brick building now. I think it should be consistent to be red brick. You have all these people that want to restore and have landfill. Is there a way to save the existing brick and using that old brick to the new building and having white windows, because most of the windows on Main Street are white and not black. I think the Historical Society needs to make sure that this new site is in keeping with Main Street. It's very important to me to keep Main Street. I'm the 5th generation up here, and Main Street is not what it was in the 60s and 70s. Nantucket has kept its reputation. We've got a lot of new wealthy people since the 80s here in Hyannis. We've got the ferry, we've got the airport, we've got the buses, and I just see Hyannis, like I have friends from Connecticut say, oh, you live in Hyannis, that's so trashy, da-da-da. It's not trashy. We have the opportunity to make it beautiful again. And I just feel like this is not beautiful, and we need to make it beautiful like it was back in the day. So I just ask for your help and support to keep the waterfront beautiful. Thank you.
Can I just ask, Farron?
Florence.
Oh, Florence, sorry.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Lucky.
Well, I could easily speak for an hour, but I'll have to try to trim that down. I think a lot of you have heard I used to be the liaison to this committee. And this is exactly what I've seen since day one, the massive collision of the form-based zoning with the historic character. They don't meld. You've talked about the guidelines. That is the key to success. Without those guidelines, it doesn't work. Because all of these buildings, there's no guardrails on this zoning. You could march down Main Street and you could destroy every building. And thank you, Laura, for your comments. I feel the same way. I have a visceral connection to this building. I have a picture of my oldest cousin with his grandmother in this store in front of the soup cans. It's just so cute. Probably 1950. You know, that's where she shopped, was in the First National that was here. And several other people have mentioned, I love this building. I absolutely love it. The fenestration of it, you've mentioned that. It's such a beautiful building. It's so sad that we continue to get this blight by neglect. Someone mentioned Sea Captain's Row, the same thing. But you have such a hard job, but you're the only line of defense here, this committee, because as Attorney Kenny has said, 4 stories by right, you know, and no context. I don't know how you can make a decision without context here. You need to see this in the context of the other buildings, like Tom has said. And Florence, thank you for your passion. I feel the same way. As I just said, my grandmother shopped in this. And if you look at old postcards, you know, Main Street Hyannis did not look dissimilar to Main Street Cotuit today. It hasn't been that long ago. And we just keep going. And I know when you were making your guidelines, I remember asking, are you going for 1930, 40, 50? What are you going for? And I don't know that I know that. But I know, you know what this looks like? It looks like Chip and Joanna Gaines, if you know what I'm talking about. They were on House and Garden TV. And they love going and painting brick. And they always paint it gray. And everything's gray. And the windows are black. And I agree with Florence on this. This would be fine on Route 132 because I've given all up hope for 132. Go do whatever the heck you want on 132. It's gone. It's completely gone. Except for the Hyannis Star Inn has a tiny bit of laughs there. But this belongs out there, it doesn't belong on Main Street. And I can see why Florence is, because she said she's 5 generations. I feel the same way. It's a visceral connection, and we're just watching it one by one by one. And you guys are the only line of defense. I feel sick that you're in this position because the zoning is flawed and it puts, the client in a hard place. 4 stories by right, what's wrong? Well, and then you people are the only bulwark against this. Because all of Main Street's gonna be gone. And absolutely, and both of those bricks need to just get out of, it needs to be red brick. That's it, there's no more discussion, red brick. This is, as I say, it's bad enough when everybody goes around painting the brick gray, but let's go back to the red brick and white windows and tone it down in context. I don't, okay. It's really, I admire you. You have an incredibly tough job. But none of us who have lived here for a long time want to see Main Street turn into this.
I would disagree with that. I've been here a long time. And,
I've been here a long time too, and I agree with her.
I think what she said, none of us. I think one of the things you have to recognize is, in the conflict here is the town, through the growth incentive zone, has pushed all of this downtown to downtown Hyannis. You can't build this out on 132. It's not within the growth incentive zone. So the town, the infrastructure is here to support this. The lots in downtown Hyannis are small. To redevelop is extremely expensive. That's why you have the height. That's what the town has done. And that's what they're asking people. They're asking people to develop in downtown Hyannis.
Not down here, we have guidelines that we can follow, we don't have to completely follow those.
The whole Main Street is within your guidelines. I think from this side of North Street over is within your guidelines.
Where do you live?
I live in Marston's Mills.
Yeah.
I lived in Hyannis for many years, and past president of Hyannis Area Chamber of Commerce. I've been a big supporter of Hyannis for a long, long time.
I've seen the good of Hyannis and I've seen the bad of Hyannis. And this is not helping Hyannis.
We don't want to get into it.
I know, but the one thing, with all due respect to Councilor Lutke, the zoning problem of 4 stories, I don't like it. I think it's terrible. That's not our fault. That's the zoning that the town passed. I don't think it should be four stories. I think it's too high. But we're put, like you said, in a position where legally, with the zoning, they're allowed to go 4. So I don't like it, but that's what we're forced to deal with at this point.
But this plan here that they presented, okay, if it's that level, it's fine, but the scale of the peaks and all that stuff need to be corrected. It's not to scale. It bothered me about Pleasant Street or whatever, the Captain's Row. I knew when that was being built, it was off scale. I went to that town meeting telling the group that it wasn't to scale. I was correct. It's not in keeping. It bothers me every time I drive by Captain's Row because I knew it was overscaled. This is going to be way overscaled. It's not correctly to scale. It needs to be back to the drafting board.
Ma'am,
Kevin, you
thank
said
you. You
that it's
have had your
4 stories
public
only.
comment, okay?
Why
We
do
can't
spend
keep going
so much
back and
time on the
forth.
guidelines? Can I have some clarification from staff? Do we strictly follow 4-story guidelines here? Or do we follow the guidelines that we worked on, that we had voted on between the planning department and us?
So your guidelines are for you to review and determine applications outcomes. So that's
So
what
you
you
can
follow.
determine that this 4-story is too big for this lot.
You can determine that it's out of scale with the district in accordance with your guidelines.
I would read that again for you. I know we're still in
Yeah,
public comment, so I don't
please do,
want to,
'cause I
let's
think-
wait
I
until we
think
get
that-
back,
let's wait till
get back
we
to
get
us
in.
and then I'll read it.
Let's hold that till the deliberation, but I think we'll find there's some error there. Next person on public comment, please. Mariana Grassi, please come up, sign in. I think he wants to. Oh, okay, because I think you came after this gentleman spoke, so I will come back to you. Sorry, I was trying to handle that corner. Oh, that's all right. Sorry, we didn't have the accommodation to let you sit together.
Oh, we're good. We live together.
And then, of course, if you could state your name for the record as well.
My name is Mariana Agresti. I am an architect, a business owner and architect on Main Street for 17 years. I recently moved back home to Yarmouth, but still care a lot about this place. I had been the designer and permitter for over 25 businesses on Main Street. We've designed murals and playgrounds and all sorts of stuff, right? Even the wreath on the front town hall that I saw tonight. It's true.
It's still up?
It's February, they're still
I
up.
was gonna say, why is that still up?
Anyway, I was home watching this on TV. I got a message saying that I didn't realize it was tonight, so I turned on the TV thinking I can't go. But then I heard people say things like, we don't know what the height of the adjacent buildings are. If we can get that, we'll get back to you. And I thought, what kind of designer is designing a street for a Main Street that's all about urban fabric? It's all about urban fabric. We're not designing object buildings. When you design a street, you do not design a building. You design what we call a fabric. It's a continuous thing along a street. So to even start designing a building on Main Street and not know the height of the adjacent buildings means you need to start all over again, or you've hired an incredibly inadequate designer and architect. So I warn all of you right now, that is a huge red flag. So your instincts that this thing seems too big is true because your designers don't even know the height of the adjacent buildings. So either they're pretending so they can get away with something that is too large a scale for the fabric of the street, or they don't know what they're doing. That's all I was able to hear before we got in the car, so I could come over here and say that. So I'm not gonna comment on anything else, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please, if you could sign in.
Of course.
And then state your name for the record, please.
My name is Rick Bishop. I actually was the very first Main Street manager for downtown Hyannis back in the very early 80s. But I would offer to this committee that the corner of Ocean Street and Main Street is a true 100% corner for the downtown. It is the one corner that virtually everyone that drives on Main Street or drives up Barnstable Road to Ocean Street sees. So the impact of this project is dramatic. And I would argue that we have lost, or you will lose by tearing this building down and putting up this 4-story structure, a very important part of the fabric of Main Street. Just, I was there the day the Center Theater burned down. It happened to be across the street. If you agreed to tear down this very interesting old brick building and put up a 4-story wooden structure, you've given up on another very important part of the history of the street. And I would urge you to consider that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? You're last. Do you want to verify your last or okay?
Sure.
Right.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Worfbane, Director of the Hyannis Main Street Business Improvement District. I just wanted to say, after all the comments, that we've tried very hard to work with the Hibble building. I think everyone in this room knows that so many people have come to the downtown asking, well, can we have an art gallery there? Can we, have an antique shop there? I want to go in. And I was one of the people that was in the building 12 years ago, and I have to say I probably should have gone to the hospital afterwards because it had so much mildew. It had a consistent hole in the ceiling and in the floor. So there was a lot of bad things. That building is just very dangerous. It's the kind of place that you probably have to have a hazmat over it. And so I'm just saying that it's unrealistic to have it be redeveloped as it is. I've just been in and I know when they put the X on it, I'm like, that is a dangerous building. It's really sad and unfortunate that it can't be saved. I mean, that is one thing that I would love to see it saved because it is a beautiful building. We're the people that brought in the mini golf course next to the building, remember, for the summer, and gave all the money for the kids, and it was wonderful. We helped the flower place with Marcello come in next door and try to make it into a cute thing. We try to make more out of this thing, but I've always lamented, like, why isn't it being redeveloped? And then I sat down with developers who talked to me about how much it costs to redevelop a building and what it takes. And I think it was supposed to be redeveloped in 2007, and I assume 2008 had something to do with the reason it wasn't, you know. So big projects, as we all know at this table, are quite expensive. So we've sat on this, and one of the biggest reasons that a lot of people came for the form-based code was to encourage buildings like the Cascade, you know, which had the swimming pool with the sad statue, right? Which, and this building. Those were the two buildings that we were constantly saying, why can't we fix it? And years ago, there was talk of doing a redevelopment authority, remember, where you can grab a building and just pay what the town, but a lot of people came to town council and screamed about losing their rights. Can you imagine if there was a redevelopment authority in your neighborhood? Do you know what I mean? And then they start to kind of become, you know, because we have like a sagging garage or something. And I'm just saying, so a lot of people came and they were really against that. So I don't know what the carrot and stick, what other way one can encourage a building to be redeveloped, because you can't force someone to change something. You know, I lived in a sea captain's house that I can't really change too much, but people can't come in and tell me that, you know, I have to do a certain thing with my house. Do you know what I mean? So we can't really tell a building. I'd love to tell a certain building on Main Street that they shouldn't be a certain color. There's one I totally don't like, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? I can't say that. So I'm just saying there's a lot we can't do it. So what I'm saying is I wish it would be like a movie theater, right? And all the wonderful and like fabulous, and next door like some kind of beautiful garden, but I don't see that being realistic as to what we can accomplish. Like I'd hate to see this, the somebody not getting to a better piece. So I'd love for you all to work together and get to the win-win. What is the win-win? Because the roof is good looking. I was impressed with that aspect of putting the 4 stories in the back and trying to break it up a lot. Because remember, you've seen other people come to this committee and come with a big box. And that's super frustrating, because you're like, well, they're not showing an effort. They just want us to do the work, right? And so here's people doing a lot of the work. So maybe you could guide them. I mean, I see a lot of expense put into at least the detailing. You know, at least there's a cupola, at least there's rotunda, and an outside patio. I mean, it is a little bit European, which is what we've been wanting, the Juliet porch, and kind of break it up a bit. I'm just telling you, so, you know, please work with it, because we don't want to see this thing stay like that. That's just such a travesty for Hyannis. So, thank you. That's my thought.
Okay, thank you. This was both been actually the last, or is there anyone else that wanted to speak that we haven't covered? Well, you'll be able to speak in deliberation, or are you speaking as a public comment? No?
Deliberation.
Okay. All right, no takers on that. So in that case, did the applicants want to have anything more that they wanted to say before we start deliberating?
Well, I think we're gonna need a continuance so we can answer a lot of the questions and kind of take your feedback and look at the project and.
That's what I was anticipating. So, did you want, well, are you okay with us going into deliberation, but then I think we all respect that we're going to allow.
I think it's important to deliberate so they know what we're
That's
feeling.
exactly why.
So if they go back, they understand what our thought process is.
Yes,
That'd be
that's
great. Thank
exactly
you.
what I'm suggesting.
Thank you.
But only if you're okay with it. Okay, so in that case, deliberation, please, commissioners, how do you feel about it?
I agree with so much of the public comment, that this building, that corner is a very important corner, okay? With all the people traveling to the boats and going down to Main Street. This does not represent anything historic in from what that gentleman said over there. It is just a generic building that you see all over, buildings all over Massachusetts and the East Coast. I think it's too large, okay? I think it has to be scaled down. I'd like to see more variation in 2-story, 3-story. This is a massive building, and as this lady said here, how can you design a building when you don't take into effect the buildings alongside, next door? And I think the height situation has to be addressed. And I really think you gotta start from scratch, as far as I'm concerned. my comment.
Any other, I always save to last, anyone else?
Sure, I'll go. This is very tough for me because I understand both sides of the equation. Like we just said, like I said before, I hate the 4-story thing. I don't think it should be part of the zoning law, but it is. So, yes, you're zoned to have 4 stories. And it's easy for us to say, scale it down, but yes, as a business, you're like, I can't feasibly do that. I understand your point. I understand our point and what we're saying. So with that being the case, and if you look at, I have to go to what our guidelines are, what we're supposed to do with our purview. And I agree with Rick. I said in the beginning when we had another project that we approved, that I thought the official start of Main Street was Ocean Street and Barnstable Road. Barnstable Road and Main Street. That to me was the official start of Main Street. And that's where I said I really wouldn't want to see a project like that anywhere from that point on. So I agree with you there. And Elizabeth, I agree, this is a terrible building. It's gotta come down, it's awful. It's gonna fall down if we don't take it down soon. So I agree with that. However, when I look at our purview, and it says that in abutting structures, this is actually in the regulations, that abutting structures building height shall be considered when proposing new construction, and the elevation directly abutting the existing structure shall be no greater than 15 feet. That's the rule, that's the guideline. So again, I'm an alternate, so I don't even know if I'm the one who's gonna be voting here, but I think it's my responsibility as someone on commission to let you know what I would do if I was voting. I just couldn't approve this project.
You couldn't or you could?
Could not.
Could not, okay.
Could not.
I am allowed to vote. I have a question and a comment. Some of the town councilors mentioned that we're the last line of defense, but why is there not a line of defense that prohibits people from letting their buildings just turn into dust?
I agree with you.
Like, how is that not a thing? I'm asking the town councilors behind you.
Well, you're putting them on the spot.
I mean, like, you have time for all these other massive projects, let's go redo Kmart. There's not something in place that just lets people just let them.
Enforcement.
There's no enforcement.
That's right.
I mean.
We're working on that.
It seems pretty
We're
simple.
getting all kinds of resistance.
Yeah. My second, just quick comments, one might not be popular, but there was another significant corner, TD Bank was there. That thing's the size of a football field, and it's less than 300 feet away from these guys. So actually, you probably won't even notice their building next to what we have already pushed through. So I don't really know how I feel about it one way or another, but this is nothing into comparison what we did up the street, not even 6 months ago, if I got my timeline right.
I'd just like to say something about that. TD Bank was the reason we went into the guidelines.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it was
Because of the
overwhelming.
size of that building.
Yeah.
And we didn't want any more of TD Bank along Main Street.
Yeah, but if we're talking about size compared to other things, TD Bank will probably be done before this, so TD Bank will tower over this thing.
Also, I should point out, Commissioner Doherty, I should point out that the guidelines were not done for the TD Bank. The guidelines started, the revision of the guidelines started about 3 years before that.
Yeah.
It's been in the making. We didn't do it for any specific one. If we could please turn the cell phones off as is requested at the beginning. So that was not the reason for it.
I wanna be clear, I don't like TD Bank. I'm
Yeah.
not, happy that went through. I think it's even worse that some mega firm from Boston comes down and does it, they're not even from here, so
Yeah.
at least this gentleman's local.
It met the guidelines. Commissioner Cronin.
I would like to, I agree with the sentiments that we're speaking about, the scale and what our purview is and what we are able to try to maintain some historical mechanisms, buildings on Main Street. So as it
Ma'am,
is,
can I ask you to step out if you're gonna have that going on?
I'm sorry, I thought I turned it off.
as it is right now, I couldn't vote for the project the way it is right now.
anyone else? Commissioner Kay? Oh, sorry,
Sorry,
go ahead, yeah.
A long time ago, we all started doing the guidelines. There were, what, 3 of us, 4 of us that
Yeah, on the
worked
subcommittee.
hard for,
And it was actually started before, I've been on this commission the longest, for about 9 years. And it was actually started, probably about 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And it became far more formal when we formed the subcommittee.
Right.
Yeah, it's been going a while.
But the reason we did that and did what we did was to try and turn the Coney Island look away from Main Street.
Mm-hmm.
And this is certainly not Coney Island. I happen to like the whole process of this. There's a lot of effort in this town to do something about housing, a lot of effort. There's a lot of people, good people that live in Hyannis here have a terrible time with housing. And so we're seeing projects come into town to improve the housing market and do that kind of stuff. So the loss of rooms in this is sad if it doesn't have all of the rooms that you currently have in your mind. But one of the things that we have going on that is such a conflict in this town, grants to restore storefronts back to original storefronts. They are giving grants out to remove the aluminum storefront, looks like a dentist's office kind of, and there's a lot of people that are taking advantage of the grants and trying to turn their storefronts back into the antique wooden doors and all that kind of stuff. So there are things that are going on that are gradually trying to keep that historic look and brick look. But the fact that you're using bricks and you're doing this, it all makes sense. There's just some adjusting to kind of pull the colors into what we're hoping to get, and that's just the color of brick. There may be a future for this building, but I think that's a strong concern. Something that is really off the wall, as old as that building is, that may all be West Barnstable brick. And if that building, in its demolition, could salvage all that West Barnstable brick, it'd be cool to have some of the West Barnstable brick in this building. But there are ways to customize this to soothe the souls of a lot of us. And being in the business, I know where you're going through with this. But if you're not familiar with this commission gets put in a torturous corner because we really know what you guys want to do and really want to see you do it. We worked hard for the guidelines so that it would make it easy for you gentlemen to come in and grab this and take this property and run with it. And I think that together, if you even wanted to come and meet with us privately, some of us would be more than happy to kind of help you get into this town so that you're part of the town and not ruffle a lot of feathers. But your efforts are honorable and we understand it's business. But we will never turn this into Nantucket. It'll never be Nantucket again. But we can bring it closer. And hopefully, with our guidelines, we can encourage designers to just soften up a little bit and keep the flavor of it. This corner is the New York Times building in New York. This is Times Square. And if we're gonna have this trophy property, which it really is, because you can't go to Nantucket or Martha's Vineyard or anything else and go down to the docks unless you go by this, where this building is. You just can't. So there's a little sentimental thought going on with this. and I just don't want you to think that you're really in the lion's den here. We need this, we need the help, we need the housing. We just need a little more, as a team, we would like to see a little more cooperation so that the city fathers and everybody else involved is gonna walk away happy. That you're gonna be happy, we're gonna be happy, we're gonna have a good building here, it's gonna be active and alive, and so that's where I am.
Commissioner Wentworth?
So I too witnessed the fire and saw the flames from several, maybe a quarter mile south. And the rubble was terrible. And the building didn't look great then. And that was a long time ago. I've watched Hyannis Main Street be very sad with the old Woolworth building, and what was happening down there, and the trouble that we had on Main Street with less fortunate people. I've seen the town fathers, if you will, make very difficult decisions when they first started this movement of renovating downtown Hyannis by allowing down near the bus station, the height change in buildings started down there before they came this way. When Cape Cod Bank and Trust was the Cape Cod Bank and Trust, before it became TD Bank, and that it changed from that old bank building to what is now being demolished. And so there's been a lot of push me, pull you going on in Hyannis for 50 years. There was a time when there was a low interest rate loan, some of you may remember this, offered to Main Street Hyannis business owners. All they had to do was pay the cost, just the cost of the brick for the square footage in front of the businesses, and the town would support this, I don't know, it's Massachusetts or federal, very low interest rate loan to brick all the Main Street Hyannis. And the business owners wouldn't do it. You had 2 or 3 business owners that said yes, and the other business owners wouldn't do it. And so it wasn't until we actually got into changing the sides of the sidewalk, which I think was inspired by COVID more than anything else. We couldn't have outdoor dining in the 1970s. You couldn't have a hot dog vendor like at like the 4th of July parades we used to have now. You couldn't sell hot dogs out in front of the town hall. So I've seen both ways. I grew up here. I love it. I'm very sympathetic to Florence. My problem is that I've seen the changes coming, and the people that write the regulations for Hyannis have made it possible for businesses to come in and do exactly what is in front of us today. And so that puts us in such a horrible position. For a short time, maybe 20 years, the building directly across the street from your building had an upstairs hair salon. And that's where I had my hair done. And I could see that building across the street. A very good friend of mine owns some businesses in that corner and has struggled with what he could do with those buildings and actually keep them. So I'm very torn. I commented earlier on how pleased I am to see the kind of forethought that's gone into this, particularly when we have had before us in the not too distant past another very large building that's not quite the same idea of housing, but down the street a ways, and they didn't do any of this. And they asked for a continuance and we'll come back, but they didn't do any of this. They were open to some suggestions of coming back. But you've already got things in here that we asked for in a building that was totally beyond what could have flown through here. So I find this very difficult. I see such progress with this presentation compared to so many other things we've had, and yet my ancestors are from here. I just love what we're able to do when there are existing historic buildings that you've had a lot to do with, and the recommendations that we've been able to really keep that historic character. Now we can't. I just finished building a new house. I know what the costs are. And it's crazy expensive to bring housing to Hyannis, which we need desperately. So my feeling is that of all the projects I've seen recently, except for the other one I love, which is the new out by the railroad tracks, this is right in line with what has been asked for. And I don't feel like I can go against what all the town officials have said. This is what we need. This is what brings residential opportunity to Hyannis and commercial opportunity to Hyannis. And yet we still want to keep that historic character. So it's very, very hard. But for me, I'd have to follow the guidelines the way they are. And as far as I know, Corey doesn't tell me otherwise, if this follows the guidelines, I would be in favor of it. I would love the suggestions of taking some of those. Now, I am not, as I've said to you before, not Jack, but if you could use that beautiful window that's in the
octagon window.
Yes, and use it, not maybe that one, but recreate some kind of look to that. And use, even if it's not the West Barnstable brick, if it's still usable, it's a beautiful color, and use it where you were planning to use brick and things like that. And also, full disclosure, I'm president of the Cape Cod Maritime Museum, which is right down the street. And some of, maybe walk through our museum and see some of the pictures we have of some of the maritime accents of things. I think some little things like that this cupola is awesome. I mean, I just love this. So that's my comment. I'm very sympathetic to what you're trying to do here. And this, to me, is one of the best presentations I've seen.
Yeah.
The flip side of me that says, I wish Hyannis had woken up 50 years ago before we had so many of these ups and downs and things were allowed to come in that now we can't push back. All we can push back on is when they come before us for changes. And as has been suggested by town council, enforcement is very difficult sometimes. So if we're the last roadblock, then we want historic Hyannis to be historic Hyannis. I commend you for your efforts to this point and hope you will take your comments as support of going forward with maybe trying to do a little something there. Yeah, that's my position.
Neil, do you have, Commissioner Crowley, do you have any comments? No comment? You're not required to, I just want to give everyone a chance. Commissioner Cronin, did you have anything? No, you're good? Okay. I will just put my thoughts in. Like Commissioner Matthews, I see both sides. And I respect both sides. I think you've expressed the same thing, Commissioner Wentworth. I'd also agree that I think this is all my personal opinion. I'm one voice, one vote. It is my personal opinion that the demolition is a no-brainer because, as somebody else commented, it's probably going to fall down if we don't. Is it death by neglect? Quite possibly, but that doesn't mean that anyone in this room is responsible for that. It is what it is, and it's been neglected, obviously, for a long, long time. But this is my personal opinion. I think that both sides have immense merit. I have also seen many, many changes. I first bought here in 1998 and split my time with other places until 2016, and since been here permanently. But this is my home of choice, and I was fortunate enough to be able to make that. So, and that's after traveling all over the world. It has its good points and bad points, but I think a lot of things have been said. A lot of comments are very valid. I want to bring up just a few things. I love the idea of somehow managing to retain something historic. there are new guidelines, and they've been painstakingly put together. There's still one page that's being worked on. And it was trying to collate all the situations. This commission has worked very hard over the years to try to work with the applicants to make things work. And that's why I think I agree with you, I'm anticipating this will be a continuance tonight, because it's, we say these are what our concerns are, and usually people come back and everything works well. It is housing versus a historic character, but our purview is the historic character. I think that, as has been expressed by others, the guidelines are the guidelines, and those are the guidelines that we tend to. There is some discretionary areas, but if we maintain by the guidelines that we have, then that is really where it is, with respect to both sides. What we have done on trying to tweak it is to tweak things and make things work, is to bring out things that would help it to merge more with those guidelines and with the purview. So for instance, the octagon window, we can't tell you what to do, it's just suggestions. I do think a lot of things have been done. I do think the lighting will need to be addressed. Oftentimes what they do is they come back to us on that, but I would suggest that if this is continued and that is your wish, then try to address some of those things when you come back. Just for the record, we do not have powers of enforcement. There is a process that exists that we put together years and years, like 7 years ago, where we enforce through the building department, if need be. I do note that there's signs that were supposed to be going on there. You might want to, if you do come back to us, state what those signs are like, or if you want to come back to us later on the signs.
The applicant's first name, we'd be coming back for any proposed
Okay.
signage, that's just.
Okay, it's just, because there's those, because we can't, those really haven't been discussed, so it would either be coming back to us or whatever. It's either or. I also think, I personally like the idea of trying to salvage as much of the bricks, because those probably are Barnstable bricks, considering the age.
Yeah.
And those are really hard to get a hold of. Maybe thinking of some sort of feature or something, or somehow incorporating them so that we've maintained some of it. That's my personal opinion. And I respect everything that every person has spoken of in public comment. There's some very valid things were mentioned. And I want to thank everyone for coming tonight and, for helping us out. Are there any commissioners that have anything more that they wanted to say? No? Okay, so what about the applicants? Anything else you would like to say?
We'll consider your comments and request a continuance.
Everybody's in agreement on that? You would like to request a continuance? I will make the motion for continuance of this. Is there actually people who will be voting tonight? Kevin, do you want to?
It's up to you, Perry, you wanna do this one and I'll do the next one, or you wanna do that?
You take this one.
I'll take this.
Yeah, take it, okay.
I second your motion to.
All right, so Commissioner Crawley?
Aye.
Commissioner Craven?
Aye.
Commissioner Matthews?
Aye.
Commissioner Clark?
Aye.
Commissioner Doherty?
Aye.
Commissioner Kay? I also say aye. Okay, thank you. All right, so that is going to be continued, and the next meeting will be, can we get it on in time? We can, can't we? March 5th, but we can also do March 5th. 19th, you okay with the 19th of March? That gives you more time as well.
Marcello, 19th of March, I think we're gonna need a little more time.
That's fine.
If you need more time, they're within their
19th is
time
fine.
frame, right?
Yeah.
If you need more time, we can put it off to the one after that. But please contact
That's fine.
Karen to let her know.
We'll take the 19th.
Okay, take the 19th, and if that changes, contact planning.
Sure.
And that can be organized, we'll just simply make it formal at one of our next meetings in between that I can continue to then. I just wanted to make sure that you're within the time frame on that, okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you both, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Public comment.
Could I have one? Actually, two of them are the, this, yeah.
I'm gonna give everyone a minute so that they can.
Sure.
I'm gonna give them back.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
It's not about me, it's about something.
I think this one's actually your set. Stapled.
Yes, my husband.
It's under Kuto.
And your name?
Yeah, no, which,
We'll do, thank you, we'll do, building first, that one's signage.
Okay, so.
No.
Oh, that's right, you guys have the next client as well.
We said thank you, not goodbye.
I wanted to move from Connecticut.
Mentioned that earlier.
Generation.
Forgot.
Here in Barnstable, so, or maybe, I guess I'm looking forward to my
Thank you.
But anyways, depending on what my
Sure.
parents have been coming. But, this is off the scale. Ray comes and goes. Red room. It needs to be.
My office is right across the street from it, I have to look at it every day.
I just spit it out, like, I'm not gonna hold it.
You know, it's great, it's a shame that the
I asked him this
town
morning and
Barnstable let us go. I've been after this building. We've been here for a long time.
Seven feet, well,
I can come up with a lot of questions.
I'm tired about buying this.
Okay.
Oh, I know, I do. Right now, I'm trying to,
he's well in 6 feet.
town hall, trying to build.
Yeah.
So I just got on
They told me I didn't see it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm on it. But anyways, you know, it's a shame.
Yeah, 2 hours in, we get more to do.
Can we just have All right. Next. Is it Kuto or how does that pronounce?
Kuto.
Kuto, it is Kuto, okay. Kuto Management Group, LLC, DBA Dunkin' Donuts brand, 442 Main Street, Hyannis, map 309, parcel 223. This is with regard to the building. It is also for the same property with regard to signage. People who could be with us representing the, this application, or applications?
Yes.
Make their presence known.
Patrick Nickerson for the applicant, along with John Kenny, also
Okay.
in attendance.
And once again, do you want to take them separately or together?
I think that for this one, we'd like to take them separately.
That's fine. So we're going to first hear the application for the building. If you'd like to tell us about your application.
Thank you. This project was originally approved in October of 2021. We are in the process of building presently. Some minor changes to the prior approval have been requested. And it may look like a lot, but the reason I asked that we take these separately is that once we go through them line by line, it's my hope that you'll agree these changes are all minor and can be approved. So the work can continue. I did prepare a presentation. This presentation does contain materials within the packets, so you're free to read through your packets for the building modification. Or if you prefer, you can just watch the presentation. We'll go through the requested changes. So just to get us oriented, this is the property 442 Main Street. The south elevation faces Main Street. The north elevation faces the parking lot. The east elevation here, we'll be discussing a request for HVAC equipment on the roof in this area here where my mouse is. The west elevation here faces Winter Street. So just get our bearings, we can move through this. Okay, so the first requested change is to add a platform and ramp to the west elevation. The top of the screen shows the elevation that was approved in 2021. The bottom is a blown up portion of the elevation within your packet. The bubble area here shows the change between the two elevations. We're seeking a poured concrete platform and ramp with galvanized steel posts. Those will be black. And the purpose is to improve pedestrian safety and access. So this was the west elevation approved. This is the proposed addition. This is the first item we're seeking that we submit as a minor change. Moving along. This is the first floor plan that shows the additional platform and ramp. This has been submitted in your materials. We're drawing your attention to that with the bubble line around the platform and ramp. It's also been added to the site plan. It's shown here where the mouse is. It's just demonstrating it's within our property line, not encroaching into the town property, that we're fitting the platform and ramp onto the west elevation shown on the site plan. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, so this is the east elevation. If we remember, this faces the building, not Winter Street. There's an alley in between the abutting building and our property. We're seeking to add rooftop HVAC equipment onto the roof here. It will be appropriately screened with decking, white vinyl railings, and posts, so none of the equipment will be visible from the street. And the HVAC is necessary to provide heating and cooling to the residential apartments. We have some views of the roof at issue. From Main Street, I submit you cannot see this roof at issue here. This is this roof that you can see from Main Street is the left side of the dormer, here visible on the next screen. These are two views here from the parking lot. You stand farther back, I guess, which would be to the north east of the building. You could sort of make out the roof at issue here. It's in, like I said, building is in progress, but no equipment would be visible. It would be screened by the white vinyl posts and railings. The next request is to modify the second floor windows on the north elevation. This frontage, again, would be facing the parking lot to the back of the building. This committee in 2021 approved 6/6 replacement windows to go in the existing bays. on the north elevation. Since that time, the interior of the second floor apartment layouts have been changed so that these approved windows conflict with the stud layouts affecting the interior of the second floor. So to remedy this, we are proposing 8 6/6 windows on the north elevation. The changes are being demonstrated on the blown up elevations here. We submit that they're a little more residential in character, in keeping with the residential second floor apartments, and the difference in spacing is to accommodate the stud layouts behind the walls. Okay, not sure if we can zoom in here, but if you can sort of make it out, this is the north elevation we're talking about here. The windows are up here as a darker bold line, and I submit to you that the darker bold line windows are the proposed windows. We're now proposing the 8 windows, and that the existing windows basically run where the studs, some of the studs are presently affecting the interior layout. That is the sum and substance of our requested changes for the building at 442 Main Street. We could, I think, continue with signage, but the signage is quite specific. I think maybe it's better we treat these separately.
In that case, any questions on the presentation? Bear in mind, we're just dealing with the building at the moment.
Have you, on that north elevation, have you finished the brickwork on that? I mean, I've been watching this being built, and it's all brick. And have you already done the brickwork on the outside of the building, and you're gonna have to change that to change the windows?
I believe that's correct. I don't think the brickwork started. My understanding is we've not yet ordered these replacement windows pending the approval of this committee to change the approved versus the proposed.
Yeah, wow, that's a disaster.
Yeah.
Holy Toledo.
It was
It was a surprise.
It was an unpleasant surprise.
Wow. That would almost, are the interior, not that I care, but are the interior petitions what the problem is?
So this, since this was approved in 2021, there was an accompanying regulatory agreement. And there was a minor modification of regulatory agreement to adjust the interior second floor layout, which resulted in an extra bedroom, I guess. So I'm not sure it's worth the pain of doing all the brick. But it's a small silver lining, I guess.
Am I fired?
Am I fired?
All right.
Okay, so, any other questions? Commissioner Doherty?
No.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were putting your hand up. Any other questions on the presentation?
Very straightforward.
Yeah, pretty simple stuff.
All right.
I have a question, is it public?
Not until we've closed this part out. So nothing, no more questions on the presentation. Okay, in that case, I will open it up to public comment. We will then go on to discussion and deliberation. I hear we have a taker for public comment.
Just one quick question. It just looks to me here like the height of these windows is less than the height of these windows. And so if you've moved them horizontally, that makes logical sense. But why are they shorter? Because these look a lot nicer than these.
They don't look shorter to me, okay?
Oh, yeah, they're much shorter.
Yeah.
They're a different style. That was
The one on top is the one that's now proposed. The one on below.
This says original and this says proposed.
The one at the bottom is what's being
You got it backwards.
Yeah.
The height is the same, I believe.
The proportions of the lights, which is what the name is for the pieces of glass, is not the same, so I don't think.
Oh, I see what
They're different. They're just
it's not
different.
I see,
Yeah.
I'm looking at something different.
Yeah.
Okay,
These are 6/6 and these are 6/6, but the proportion of those lights is much taller than these. For example, here you can see those match those.
Yeah.
But these do not match
Do not
those.
match the second floor, right?
So I just wonder why they got more squat, because it looks better that way.
That might be a drafting issue, because those windowsill heights are probably gonna be the same.
I don't know, I do an awful lot of drafting. I don't think that's a drafting mistake. I think it's a different, it's a different window.
Right.
We
It's
are
just a height
requesting-
thing, maybe you could,
We are requesting different windows. I think they're shorter.
yeah.
They start at the same height, but they're not as long.
Yeah. They're not as tall.
That's why we're offering, since they're not as long, that's why we're offering more of them. We're offering 8.
Oh, you know,
6 was approved.
What you're putting, what you wanna put in is double hung. And the previous ones weren't double hung windows.
It's
They look like casements.
It just looks better with them all the same height. So if you want to move them that way.
It's the 8/8 and the 6/6.
No, these are 6/6.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Both 6/6.
Well, it looks like if they were that height, they would clip the sign.
We moved the part of the sign application, we're asking to lower the height of the sign. One of the concerns was he'd have gooseneck lighting blaring into the second floor residential apartments, with signs being reduced in height. My impression is that the height of the new second floor proposed signs relates to the location of the sign.
I like the height on the proposed one.
So the sign and the new proposed second floor windows are kind of working together, so we can have room for the sign with the gooseneck lighting, not in the second floor windows, but in an area that can be, is also not window.
So the sill is higher, right? Because the relationship between the eave and the header of the window is the same here as here. So that means that you've raised the sills in those apartments. It just looks weird to me. That's all. Thank you.
Doesn't look
The
balanced.
thing is, what I see here, see here we have to the midline here. Here, the proximity, and here it would seem, might be about the same to that.
At the header it is, but not at the sill.
Yeah, maybe if this went over a bit and then take those out so they're over then, because there would be room to put that over and then put those there as a thought.
You might just be concerned about the interior quality of the space, because if the windowsills were correct when you first drew them, in your proposed, you've got higher sills, so the interior space isn't going to be nearly as nice. So you might just want to take a look at that. I think you're happy with how that is.
I am confused about something.
Sure, Commissioner Whitmore.
There's a vertical line that connects in the original, that connects to the right-hand D.
Yep.
Okay, like vertical goes down to the ground. In the lower level, what is that? It's still on the right-hand D, but it goes down. What is that line? What does that represent?
Measuring the height.
But that's just a line drawing. That's not part of the building.
So if that's, so it is just a line drawing. Okay, then.
I assume they really would love to have had that top one work because there's symmetry and everything, but again, I'm not an architect. Jack, you are. It just looks like they can't make that work, so they're just gonna have shorter windows on top to make what they need to. It's their building. If they want to do shorter windows on top, I don't think, as long as the windows, are, as long as they use the right windows, that's up to them.
That whole elevation though, the whole row at the top is being adjusted, so it
Yeah.
doesn't look out of balance to me. It's just an adjustment.
Yeah.
And it pulled the sign down below the window, so
Yeah.
you're not getting blindsided with the sign lighting, so
I agree with
it
you.
looks like it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
it makes sense to
And
me.
the
too. It makes
interior
sense.
studs are, you can't move them, so that's a logical compromise, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. So I did have public comment open.
I think she has.
I'll come around and do the whole thing.
We can fill in the location.
My name is Anastasia Pachara, and I'm actually here for a different project, but for a different agenda item. As a person who's short, the windowsill's going up. I have a similar question to Mary Ann of like, what is the experience on the inside of this building going to be? And also, isn't it easier to just move the sign than to unbrick and like to solve that problem of the lights?
We are proposing to move the sign, but that's not the only issue. Since this was approved on the outside in 2021, there was a modification to the interior layout, which happened years later, wasn't contemplated in 2021. This results in studs basically being where the approved windows are. So to try and accommodate the amount of fenestration that was approved, we're seeking to have 8 6/6 windows, where 6/6 were approved in a slightly different layout.
Is that what you wanted to comment on?
Yeah, I mean, it is your building, but it's really nice having taller windows especially, but whatever.
Okay, thank you for your comment.
Move this to a motion?
Well, if she's done, then you can guess to your
I
comment.
thought that was
it.
a question.
Right.
Yes, Stacy.
Were you asking if you could do public comment?
I would like to make public comment.
Okay, would you like to sign in, please?
Okay, sure. I did,
If you could sign in and then state your name.
can do. I did have one question for the prior speaker, if I may. Miss Anastasia. Could I ask a question? Not to put you on the.
She's not part of the commission, so she's not obligated to answer your question, but if you would like.
You can ask me a
Thank you.
question, Chris.
Does
You
Cordial
haven't
I have
signed-
any
you haven't
thoughts on
signed.
the HVAC? I'm probably gonna support it just because it's
Can you
neighborly.
please sign, can
Sorry.
you please sign in
Oh, can do.
and state your name?
All right, I thought I would have my deliberation before official.
That's all right, your name's fine. Yeah, your name's
Okay.
fine.
To be honest, so we occupy a building adjacent to this that I give very little cares to what happens on either side of buildings.
Okay.
Maybe I should care more than I do, but I feel like to each his own for the most part.
Agreed. Chris George, I'm the property manager and building owner trustee of the neighbors to the east. And just since I'm here, would like to post no obstacle from my personal opinion to the HVAC. I'm sure it won't interrupt anything and the screening's good.
Thank you. Any others for public comment, please? Nope. In that case, we can go on to deliberation. I'll leave the public comment open till we go to the motion. Before we go to the motion, public
I'm
comment.
not voting on this, but I have no problems with deliberations or anything. It's fine.
This is just the window part, right?
The window and the ramp and the HVAC.
On the,
Window and HVAC, and not the signage.
no, signage is next.
Okay.
So we have,
Okay, that's
just to review, I guess,
Ramps.
platform and ramp.
Yeah.
Just make sure we get everything.
Yep.
So,
HVAC, and then,
And windows.
hold on, can you go back to that last screen?
yes,
One has the list. HVAC, rooftop. Check the decking. Railings. Screen. Or we can say as submitted and discussed.
Yes.
So, any other comments from the commissioners?
I have no problem with this.
It's fine.
All right, would one of the commissioners like to make a motion on the findings, please? With regard to the building for Pluto Management Group LLC, DBA Dunkin' Donuts, 442 Main Street, at 309 parcel 223.
Here, go grab that.
I move the commission find this
there
application
you go.
compatible with preservation and protection of the district.
Okay.
Taking into account all the discussion we had with regard to the 3 items to be changed.
Okay,
I'll second that.
it is seconded. So this time it will be Commissioner Wentworth voting as well, so Commissioner Wentworth?
Aye.
Commissioner McKay?
Aye.
Commissioner Doherty? Commissioner Clark?
Aye.
Commissioner Cronin? Commissioner Crowley?
Aye.
I also say aye. Would one of the commissioners like to make the motion? Again, this is just for the first part on the building as submitted for the changes on the certificate of appropriateness.
I'll do it, I can't see. I move to issue a certificate of appropriateness for the application at 4442 Main Street, Hyannis, as described in the submitted materials.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Crowley?
Aye.
Commissioner Cronin?
Aye.
Commissioner Clark?
Aye.
Commissioner Doherty? Commissioner Kay?
Aye.
Commissioner Wentworth? I also say aye. So you have the first one. You can move on to the signage, please. We've already covered a little bit of the signage, but I was worried I'm blocking your view.
Nope, I'm good.
Are you all right?
Or visual.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. So again, for the record, my name is Patrick Nickerson, attorney for the applicant. Along with me is John Kenny. In your packet are a number of elevations, slides, and materials seeking minor modification of the approved signage, also approved in October 2021. Some minor changes that are being requested in the years that have passed. We are in the process of construction. So we'll just go through them. In the certificate that dated from October 2021, there's basically 8 findings listed. So if you see a number on the slide, that's going to be corresponding to the approved sign from the certificate, which is marked as Exhibit A. We ran into a problem with the blade sign number 4. This was a vendor issue, and it was incorrectly measured. We requested and were approved 3.42 square feet. Turns out we actually need 4.0 square feet. The way Barnstable measures circular signs is different than you might expect from just typical geometry. You have to create a box, and then if the sign fits within the box, the area of the box is your sign area, not the area of the sign itself. So pi equals 3.14, all of those wonderful things might not apply when we're dealing with a circular sign. So we're asking for an increase in size, no other changes to this size, to this sign, from 3.42 square feet to 4.0 square feet.
3.42 to 4.0.
Zero.
Zero.
Yep.
Let me make sure.
Okay, while we were at it, the applicant requested a change of signage on the east elevation. You'll see the original proposed. We've just covered the HVAC screening there on the east. Originally, there were two 2-square-foot DD signs, one above each door. The request now is to basically scrap those and in its place put one 3.97 square foot Dunkin' sign. Don't forget the apostrophe. And it's 11 inches high. The proposed Dunkin' sign will have matching PVC plastic, gold leaf lettering, and charcoal background. It's going to be across one of the doors. Specifications regarding this sign are here. 3.97 square feet, 11 inches high, gold leaf lettering on charcoal background. We just covered this a little bit with the building modification, but we're specifically requesting to lower the height of the sign. You could fairly debate if this is a building modification or a signage modification, but we're treating it as a sign modification because we're asking for slight decrease in size from 17.58 square feet to 17.55 square feet, and increase the height from 36 inches, the sign itself, not its height from the ground, to 37.25 inch. Specifications are here, and the sign specifications are very specific to the town of Barnstable, and we've been in communication with the town about the requested changes we're seeking. So, moving on. We're seeking actually to reduce the number of directional signs. 5 were approved, 3 are only being requested. 2 are located near Winter Street. They're hard to make out on this blow-up, but you might have a better chance at seeing them on the site plan. 1 is here towards the rear of the property. So we're seeking a reduction in signage. It's sort of a show of good faith for the other modifications we're making. There'll be less directional signage than proposed. This is a new item we're seeking. It is inspired by safety. We're seeking a clearance bar to be added to the site plan. On top of the clearance bar, we have confirmed that the text drive-through does constitute a sign. So we're seeking to add a 9th sign which says drive-through on top of the clearance bar. So we're seeking approval for both the bar and the sign. We're amenable to having the drive-through be gold, not pink, so that it matches the existing gold leaf lettering on all existing signage. Purpose of the clearance bar is to tell vehicles the maximum height that's allowable before entering the drive-through, and endeavors to protect the drive-through menu board and canopy from any damage, because those pieces of equipment are quite expensive. The location of the clearance bar is spelled out on the site plan. I know this isn't the clearest image, but it has a nice red dot which highlights where the clearance bar would go. This is taken from the approved site plan already on file. Looks like some text got cut off here on the top, but what this top word says is to confirm menu board and canopy to be a new sign number 10. In 2021, there was an exhibit presented at the hearing for a proposed menu board and canopy. I believe it was actually marked up in handwriting by the chair with the word charcoal written on it. It was discussed. There was a motion made to approve all signage. The motion was granted, but unfortunately, the menu board and canopy did not make it to the written decision itself. So we're seeking to confirm that this has been approved. We've called out additional specifications here. You observe that the canopy is orange, but again, the developer is agreeable to indicating it will be charcoal as he did in 2021, in keeping with the approved canopy at that time. In our letter, we did provide a meeting link to the 2021 meeting, along with timestamps from when the canopy was discussed. But if you didn't have time to review the meeting, we went ahead and provided you the original exhibit that was provided in 2021. And a still photo of Jim Smith with this handsome fella here.
I look a lot younger.
And as you can see, Jim Smith very clearly is holding a picture of the same exhibit that was presented in 2021.
What's Stu doing?
I'm not sure.
Yes, I think it is.
Okay. The town of Barnstable did request a letter, which we thought you would also find helpful regarding the features of the menu board. It is static, which means there is no live customer interaction. Some drive-throughs, as you may know, they will add items, total your number, ask you to confirm it before driving on. We're not going to have any of that. It's going to be static. There will be content updates approximately once a month for any promotional pricing or promotional items. There's an on-off timer that allows that display only during business hours. The display itself will adjust automatically to reduce excessive glare in all lighting conditions. And here's a sample of what the digital boards will look like. They are backlit, but they don't move except for changes in menu items. Similar to like if you had to replace a sheet, rather than having someone go out there swapping menu board sheets, you just have the screen itself changing, offering the items. And that is the sum and substance of our presentation related to minor modification of signage. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Commissioners, any questions on the presentation?
I wasn't on the commission before when this first went through, but just the checking the signs on the building are all lit with
The signs on the buildings themselves will still remain having goose.
Yes, gooseneck. That's what, I don't know why I can't think of that name today. And that includes the one with that's like poking out the building and all that?
I believe that's correct, the blade sign, yes.
Okay, cool.
And
Thank
the
you.
signs, the other signs are backlit, which we had agreed to with other applications, so.
Yeah, it would be a bad thing to have a menu board that you can't see.
Exactly. Any other commissioners with questions on the presentation? I'll open it up to public comment. I'll leave comment open until we get to the motion. And at that time, public comment will end. Deliberation, how do you feel about it?
Question for Corey.
I think so.
Seems pretty straightforward.
I have a question for
Yes,
Corey.
please.
Corey, do you have any, everything is according to how you would have liked it to be on the application?
With the guidelines.
Thank you.
All right, and any other commissioners? Nope. All right, in that case, public comment is closed. If we'd like to go for a motion on findings, please, with regard to signage as presented.
I move that the commission find the application to be compatible with the preservation and protection of the district at 442 Main Street, Hyannis.
Second, we have 2 seconds down. All right, so in that case, Commissioner Cartley.
Aye.
And on this one, it's still clear. Commissioner Kern?
Aye.
And Commissioner Clark?
Aye.
Commissioner Doherty?
Aye.
Commissioner Kay?
Aye.
Commissioner Wentworth? Aye. I also say aye. Would someone like to make a motion for the certificate of appropriateness, please?
I move to issue a certificate of appropriateness to the application at 442 Main Street, Hyannis, as described in the submitted materials.
Seconded by. You guys are on a roll. Commissioner Wentworth?
Aye.
Commissioner Kay?
Aye.
Commissioner Doherty?
Aye.
Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Commissioner Kern?
Aye.
And Commissioner Kern?
Aye.
Okay, that passes. Well done.
Thank you.
Looks nice.
Thank you.
I like this
Thanks,
color.
Tom. I tried to slip the other address into that motion, but you.
It's not the address, it's.
You know, I was looking at the renderings here. You know, if this is white clapboard and wood, it would be great for Main Street and Ocean Street. One for you, one for me.
Tom is very subtle in the way he introduces things.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for coming in.
We've got a,
Have a great night.
Um,
All right. On the top.
Thank you, Corey. Nice meeting you.
Corey, can I grab a question on this?
This is set.
for all future certificates, and it's more. So in other words, the existing ones will continue to not have. That question may come up. All right. Okay.
At times I still don't understand it.
So, next on the agenda is discussion and vote on a temporary moratorium on public art in the Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District. Can I help you? Oh, I see. I am going to ask Mr. Pacheco, could you please clarify for the public what a moratorium is?
It's a temporary stay on, well, it could be permanent, but actually no. It's a temporary stay on the review of applications, certificates of appropriateness. Since you don't have guidance for the review of public art in the district, internal discussions within the planning department and the legal department, we kind of came to the conclusion that potentially, with your approval, obviously, a temporary moratorium until proper guidance is established on public art in the district is created.
And this is on with regard to future applications for the
Could I suggest we have one of our town attorneys here, that she sit at the table in case there's questions for her, she'll be able to answer.
Can I bring you up here?
Thank
Thank you for coming tonight. I didn't, always, you get blocked out, or I would have asked you that question.
Okay.
So just to clarify, this is with regard to future ones.
Yeah, so based on the meeting last time, where we discussed the ongoing issues in terms of reviewing art and the potential First Amendment violations that we could encounter if we continue to do things the way we do things now, that is without those guidelines and those guidelines that are, at this point in time, your decisions are just kind of based on arbitrary, it doesn't end up being
There's
same
still being,
across.
there's one page, but it's more, which was more specific, which is still being put together. There's still some outstanding.
Oh, there are.
Well, still, we don't have your.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the point is, based on our conversation last time, where we need to, or you all need to come up with some guidelines based on, to help your review with these projects, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
It is the town attorney's office's advice to issue a moratorium, and you can all decide on the length that you feel is appropriate. In order to do that properly, it does need to be a reasonable amount of time. There has been a presentation that's coming next month. I've sent certain resources to Karen, and I understand that she's distributed those. And just some research for you all to do to just further educate yourselves on how the First Amendment and art plays a role in combination with your role as the Historic District Commission. So the moratorium as drafted right now, obviously it's a draft, but the motion would be to enter into that while you're establishing those guidelines.
Mm-hmm. And I think I speak on behalf of the entire commission to say thank you very much for all the hard work that you and the town attorney's office has put into this. It's very much appreciated. And I was certainly one of those who was very impressed with the legal aspects. And I told you I'm putting that last page together for, Jim said that he was away this week, so it looks like I've got another week to finish this weekend for a proposal. Then it'll go to you for viewpoint. And tell me I'm off my rocker or whatever. But anyway, commissioners, do you have any questions on this?
I really appreciate the documents you forwarded to us after it cleared up a whole lot of I got confused in that meeting a little bit. but reading the documents really cleared it up.
And,
But my question is, are you asking that we come up with the guidelines, or is the legal people gonna come up with the guidelines?
This tonight, and correct me if I'm wrong, is just that while those are being, because that's the subcommittee that's putting the guidelines together, and that will be worked on with the town attorney's office, and, things are going by and tweaked. We have a great start that was delivered to all of us from the town attorney's office. Tonight is just a moratorium because we want to make sure that it's done correctly. And the proposal, and I will be making that motion if we're okay with it, that we set a moratorium for that to happen.
So we will work as a commission with lawyers present.
Yes.
Because, you sent out all that information and the First Amendment and all these, I need help. I started
Very
going,
comprehensive.
more power to you, okay? I could not make heads, the First Amendment's easy, but the other cases I could not understand.
Yeah, it's a lot of dense.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's the
I'm really looking
recommendation.
forward to
Is 3 months enough?
the meeting, next month,
There's
when
contingent in there.
we,
It's big bird.
you're contacting other towns to see how they handle the situation.
I can't hear him when he.
I really
gets the
do
other way.
believe that this is a complicated issue, and it's because we want to do the right thing. Artists want to be able to display their art as well, and we all just want to work together. I do think, like we've talked about before, the words in our purview and what we're required to do and how we're required to rule just seems it's two different things. So having you involved, having Corey's presentation coming up the next meeting, March 3rd, whatever it is, I think that will be good because we can finally put this issue out there, fix it, and then move on. I think that's what we all want here on the commission.
And I think that's going back to Tom's point, seeing how other towns handle it will be extremely important and will help with your article in the Boston Law Review.
Yes.
Oh gosh. I just want to, I guess, I know that the materials are super dense and I'm learning along with you on this. I mean, obviously you go to law school and you learn about the First Amendment and constitutional law, but the complicatedness of adding in the Historic District Commission, I sort of said this last time as well. It's not an easy topic for me either. So I'm learning along with you. And I told Corey this morning that every day I'm Googling and trying to do a little bit more research to understand what's expected of you all, but also to, again, prevent any impingement on the artist's constitutional rights.
Exactly. We wouldn't want to do that. So, all right. So what I'm going to do, I suppose legally I'm going to read what the motion will be, so for whatever, or is it go ahead to just put the, see if there's any public comment, and are you able to, or how would you like me to proceed on that?
I would say you might read the draft.
Okay.
Because that's really what the proposal is.
That's what I think it should be.
And then if you all decide that you want to tweak it in any way, that's how you're going to change the motion, and then maybe invite public comment.
All right, so.
Is there a timeline on this?
There is. So the motion would be to have a 3-month moratorium with the possibility to extend for an additional 3 months upon reassessment on the review of certificates of appropriateness for public art projects within the Hyannis Main Street and Waterfront Historic District Commission. In order for the Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District Commission to establish objective constitutional guidelines to review all future certificates of appropriateness for art projects within the Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District Commission. That's the proposal. So that's what we are talking about. 3 months with an option to extend. But that allows us to get everything and get versed in enter our legal training, additional legal training. So I personally, and this is what's proposed by the office, right? So I personally think that this is excellent because, of course, we want, I think people know I have a fairly extensive arts background and I think it's great for art, but the other thing is we also have a commitment to see to it that it's correct in location and that kind of thing, and doesn't violate or isn't, is in accordance with laws and requirements as well. So.
I think it's a great idea,
Yeah,
and instead of like, everybody has a subjective view of art, and then we take that out of there.
Yeah.
And we'll know what we can do.
Yeah. So that way we're dotting our i's and crossing our t's. So in that case, you'll give me public comment?
Yes.
So I will, how many have a public comment that are still here? It looks like there's 5. Is that right? So I'm gonna ask, please keep it to, we'll start again on this side of the room, nothing gets that side of the room, but if I could start on this side. And if you could come up, sign in again, and state your name, and I'm gonna ask you to please stay at 3 minutes. Commissioner Clark, are you able to do the timing on that? Would you mind? Please.
Okay, before we start, how do we handle questions, just so I don't burn down my 3 minutes? Is it just one way?
Do you just have questions, or do you want to make comments?
I have
It's
one
public comment.
question.
Public comment is your question.
That's right.
So I have comments about my thoughts, and then I have questions from the board. Am I
Well,
entitled to ask those?
so that we don't go back and forth, if you can state the comments, I will try to write, the questions down, I'll write them, and then you can go for 3 minutes on that, and then we'll see if we can address these things, okay?
Do you want me to write down the comment?
We try not to question and answer. We want you to come up and tell us what you think, and we'll listen respectfully and will not interrupt you or anything like that. So,
But I have asked you several times, can you come and sign in and state who you are?
But then you might or might not answer a question, like if one comes up.
Correct. Just your comments.
Okay, got it. Just my comments.
And just so we're all clear, the only matter before us right now is with regard to the motion.
A motion to extend the moratorium.
Correct.
3 months. That's what's before us right now.
And it's already under moratorium?
No, establish the moratorium.
Establish the moratorium, right.
And I've also heard I will get responded to and I will not get responded
We don't know, because we don't know what the questions are, it could be
Got it.
something we don't
Okay.
have an answer to.
But you could,
Your
but
3
not
minutes
as a
are up.
matter of statute. You
If
will
you,
not.
we will
We'll see
do
how
the
it
best that we can.
Okay.
So if you can start with 3 minutes, and if you ask us what
Okay.
something else is, yeah.
Chris George, I'm a building owner as a trustee here in Hyannis and a commercial property landlord and building manager in a family business stretching back here probably to 1990 and some tenants even longer before me. It was a family business, not me personally. So my public comment is against a moratorium on public art, even to discover reasons to oppose it. I would like to know, here's question time, what exactly is currently offensive or not appropriate enough about public art that we need to moratorium or kill it till we can start it back up again? So as a business owner, I've tried hard to get public art on the walls of my building for a few reasons. One is it's going to improve interest and economic incentive for my tenants to express what they do. And that I see as a good thing as a landlord, and I want that to happen. So I don't want to slow down or have a moratorium to wait for improving the life of my tenants through public display and art. And then broadly, I want to see for Hyannis, of which I've been a member so long, the expression of our community identity. And that's why I want public art, and I don't think we should slow down or have a moratorium to discover whether public art is against or for the First Amendment. It's protected under free speech, so we don't need to kill it. We don't need to kill our rights for a period of time to figure out whether we are entitled to those. And then broadly, I'm worried about movement at large that's stultifying towards expression. And I think I've seen this expressed by the board here tonight. if not the people who are from Hyannis expressing themselves on our buildings, then who? We certainly don't have a great love of big Boston firms coming down and putting up what they want. And if you look around at this room, look at the art in here compared to art in a public space put out. These high school kids, it's hiding the lamp under a bushel. So that's why it shouldn't be stopped. Because this venue, I don't know if it's, this is some good art here. I would like to see it a little bit more amplified, like some of the walls of the buildings that I manage. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Next.
Me? Okay. Do I sign in again?
Yes, it's for a different matter.
Gotcha. Hi, everybody. My name is Anastasia Pachella, and I also would like us to consider not going forward with this moratorium during the meeting, the joint Historic Commission Planning Board meeting, when the updated design guidelines for the whole street were approved with the exception of page 46. It was determined at that meeting that public art projects would be determined on a case-by-case basis while those get approved. I don't think that there's been an enormous clamoring of people coming to get public art projects put forward since then. And so I'm just not sure how necessary it is to have this moratorium. I know that there's going to be meetings commencing very soon to get that page 46 put forward. We all want that. And I don't know that public art and history are necessarily, they're not opposed, they're not diametrically opposed to each other. We can see that with the statues that we have to JFK and Chief Hyannis. We see that with this murals that are honoring our fishermen and historic legacy there and our So I do want to see page 46 finalized. I do want to see that something that works for all of us, and I don't think that a moratorium in the meantime is necessary. I think we can continue with that decision that was made that evening to determine these things on a case-by-case basis.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, who would that be?
So Mariana Gresti, and architect. Maybe I didn't mention before that I'm also an artist. 3 of my sculptures are here in town, Transportation Center, Asleton Park. I painted 2 murals. We've had a fair amount of success with this committee and art. And some of these things are a bit more abstract, I would say, but they successfully integrate into the community. So I share a concern that an agreement was made that art would be reviewed on a case-by-case basis during a pretty intensive amount of series of meetings. And so to have that suddenly be turned with one presentation here, I didn't find out about this meeting till tonight. I guess shame on me for not checking everything all the time. But I did attend all the other meetings when we agreed that art would be reviewed on a case-by-case basis and that could be done carefully and civilly. So to change it, I think, is rather unjust tonight. I want to remind everyone that part of the problem with the definition of historic art in the guidelines was that the word maritime was trying to be used. One of the projects that I spent a significant amount of volunteer time on are the 7 kiosks that provide maps along the mile along Main Street. And if each one of you would go and read the historic panels that I carefully researched on each one of those kiosks, you would find that our history is well beyond maritime. It involves aviation, it involves the synthetic pearl industry, it involves music, and many, many, many other things. So please, our request to have maritime taken out of that was based in historic fact. You are the historic committee, you should know that. I don't need to be telling you that. So this concern about a moratorium, to me, there's a lot of other things that we can test or need to discuss. We don't put a moratorium on buildings. We do actually, I'm sorry, there has been a history of that, but we're not doing that now, although we severely have a lot of projects that need a lot of discussion. We don't put a moratorium on landscape, although we could really have an ongoing discussion about that. Why are you choosing art to put a moratorium on? It scares me a lot that you're choosing to do that because it reeks of censorship.
Thank you. Alrighty, Councilor Left, welcome back.
Yeah, I think what I'd like to do is pretty much echo what Mary Ann just said. I find this a little bit frightening. I don't think we need to do a moratorium. I think if you want to work on some guidelines, you can, but I don't even know the definition of public art. Is a human being doing something public art? I mean, it's a pretty wide aperture, and rightfully so. I like the comments about the high school art. The school committee had a meeting, and they had several of the artists that have art in there. And it's just fascinating. If you go up and read these, I mean, the thought that has gone into a lot of this stuff is incredible. And I think, again, Mary Ann's words, I think were beautiful. I'm a little fearful of the censorship. I don't think we have a clear definition of public art. I think if it's a case-by-case thing, I haven't seen anything that is just that offensive that we need to do a moratorium. I think that's a dangerous step to be taking right now, and it's inappropriate, and I wouldn't support it. Again, you guys are putting in an impossible situation. You're just being hit with these things that are maybe a little bit outside of your wheelhouse. So I feel for you, but I don't think this moratorium should be passed. I don't think it's right for the town.
Thank you very much. We had 5 hands that went up.
Somebody took
Don't steal it. It's a cool pen.
What happened to the pen?
Was it my pen?
It has 4 different colors. Awesome. Straight from the 70s.
That's cool.
I'm sure there was one over there, right?
Right,
That's
public
good
art.
change.
Yeah, Brenda.
Oh, great, okay. If you state your name again, please.
I'm Cindy Martin. I am also a board member of the Cordial Eye, and everybody else said it well before me. But just to state that I'm concerned. It's helpful to hear the why. So that makes me a little bit more open to the idea, but overall I'm concerned. I don't imagine that you're getting overwhelmed by requests right now. So I think you could continue to work on the guidelines and take things on a case-by-case basis as the group had agreed to. So I'm just concerned about censorship as well.
Thank you very much.
I wasn't in the original count, but.
That's all right, please come up. I was just trying to get an idea of how many we had.
That is a fancy
If
pen.
we had 50 that said that, I would have said we had to keep it to 2 minutes. That's why I tried to get an idea. But
Who's
you're
got the
fine,
clock?
you're fine, you're fine. Go ahead.
My name is Owen Fletcher. I'm a resident of Osterville, and I won't, hours late, I'm not gonna say the same thing other people said, although I will echo the comments of Ms. Pacello and Ms. Martin. If we're determining these things but on a case-by-case basis now, I think we can probably continue doing that. I mean, full disclosure, I am an attorney. It sounds as if you're making a very honest attempt to wrestle with First Amendment law and protect the town from charges and then the board from charges that you're being arbitrary or capricious. I appreciate that. But if there's no deluge of people who are applying and you've been dealing with it on a case-by-case basis in the meantime, I think you could probably continue doing that. I don't want to substitute my judgment for yours, but also having a moratorium of 3 months and then a possibility of an extension. Bureaucracy, I also work for government, full disclosure, can take a very long time, and before you know it, you're wrestling with things for way longer than you expected, and the message that you're sending may not be the one you're intending, which is to actually wrestle with this honestly, but you may be sending an impression to people who don't understand all of that you don't support art, even if it's the opposite. So I'd like you to consider that before you vote on the moratorium.
Thank you. Any others? I can always see the hands down that way. Put your hands up higher if somebody has a hand up. Okay, so can I invite you back up? The first one said they wanted it to be as questions. I just want to clarify, one of the statements that was made was didn't want a moratorium because it basically indicated discover reasons to oppose it, it being art, of course. That is not at all what this is about. This is about getting it right. This is about getting it fair. This is about doing the right thing the right way. And also, and I'm sure the gentleman who was just speaking, following legal advice. So trying to, how can we deal with this to best educate ourselves for those that don't have that particular area, but also to make sure that we are doing the best by the town and by the applications and in the right way. And it is not also what was said to kill it, it again being art and art applications, not at all, no. At least, only one voice, one vote, we support expression of community identity. Anyway, so that's my own comments on that. I didn't want that to be misunderstood. And any other discussions from the?
Yeah, please. I just want to say this draft motion is meant to show you, we hear you.
Yes.
We hear your comments coming here saying, I want to express myself and I want to do it. We hear you. And we're looking at the case-by-case basis and we're saying that doesn't work because you use the word, capricious. It's arbitrary. So if you don't have some kind of guideline that we follow for all art projects, we open ourselves up to possible lawsuits and First Amendment, cases because, well, you judge that one this way, you judge this one that. We can't do that. And mentioning maritime is the perfect example because once that was brought up, we took a step back and maybe that's not the right wording that we're trying to use. So we're listening to everything you say and we're trying to find a way. Now, I know you're thinking, or you've spoken about the moratorium, we don't need it because, you don't have a lot of art projects coming in. How do you know? How do you know if next week or next month someone comes in with an art project and we don't have it yet? We don't have the guidelines down yet.
I promise I don't have anything
Well,
planned right now.
no, I'm just saying, that's you, but you just don't know. That's why the moratorium gives us 3 months, and I really think that will be plenty. I don't think we'll need the 6. Will give us 3 months to work with our town attorneys and to decide and work with and watch and learn from other communities that have historic districts and learn from them on the best way to word this. And then we know how to go forward. And that's what we're trying to do. But again, I think this draft motion means we heard you and we know that we need to get back into this and make sure we're on the right page and we're doing the right things. I really do. And I know this has been a very, unfortunately, this has been a very vitriolic, topic between this board and the artists of the community. And maybe we're just not listening to each other right. But I think this is us. And again, one person, my opinion, saying we are listening to you. We have heard your concerns. Let us take a pause, fix it, and then go forward. And we're all doing the guidelines work for all projects. So that's my opinion.
And it protects both ways, because the other comment that was made is with regard to the expression of community identity, not, I didn't really care if it was either for or against the First Amendment. Well, we want to make sure that we are abiding by the law, and at the same time that we are dealing our duty to the community. And also taking the pause to make sure that it is done correctly with adherence to all the needs. And there were too many. There were a lot of comments about thinking we weren't taking it seriously. This is showing we take it very seriously, and it's to get things as they should be. I'm going to turn it over to. Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Commissioner Crowe. Yeah. I'm sorry. Usually people.
Sure.
Okay.
As I said before, I have First Amendment litigation experience. I know there's a lot of talk about theory and philosophy and things like this here, but at the end of the day, we are a permit granting body. And because we are a permit granting authority, we need guidelines. And we discussed at that joint meeting that we did not feel comfortable in a place in light of the town attorney's guidance that was, talking to us about these important matters that need to be addressed. We were not comfortable going forward. But the main thing, we keep talking about it, and I just want to return to the fact that we had a long discussion about content neutrality here. And to say, well, it's up to us to determine the historicity or the appropriateness of content, town attorney has made that very clear. That is not our gig. That is not our bag.
Right.
What we're looking to do is to look at the issue from the viewpoint of content neutrality. Now, the flip side of that is to say that we never have a voice in any art. Well, it begs the question in the first place, why are we being called upon to grant a permit if we have to approve everything that comes across our desk?
Yep.
So the moratorium is important to consider the guidelines that we need as a permit granting authority in light of the legal commitment to content neutrality. That's how I see it. It's very specific.
Well said.
I'd like to.
I've got some energy too. This commission is designed to protect 75 years or older buildings. That's our main role. Art's got nothing to do with it. We don't want anything done to our historic buildings that compromises what they mean. If you want to do your art for an art commission, go to an art commission. What we're trying to do is protect historic buildings. And if we say we don't want that building painted so that you can add something to it and destroy the brick or the rock or whatever the building's made out of, it has nothing to do with what you're doing. It's altering a building we're charged with preserving. And one of the legal documents that you forwarded to me says clearly any building made out of brick or stone cannot be painted, period. And if you start to paint it, then you start to depreciate it, and it's no longer seen as a historic building. So we're not picking on artists. We're picking on anybody that walks in here and says, I've got a 75-year-old building and I'm going to make it pink. And we're going to go, no, you're not. Because that's not what we're here for. We're not here to judge your art. We all know what art is, and we all have First Amendment rights, just like you. And if we've been given the responsibility to protect our old buildings, then our job is to protect the building. Protect it from vandalism, protect it from people driving cars into it, protect it from everything. And I don't know that the moratorium is going to hurt anybody here. But if we all have a clear path that this is what you can do and this is what you can't do, then we have a place that we can stand and look at each other and say, I can't do it. You're asking me to approve something that I can't do. And it puts us in a terrible bind. So that's just how I feel about not having the time to give ourselves rules. It took us years to do the guidelines for, for just managing ourselves in every other regard.
Yeah.
And we've never been faced with, in the years I've been on this commission, all of a sudden we had artists that appeared out of the ground. They never happened to us all before, and so we are faced with something brand new. And it's just gotta be dealt with fairly, that's all.
Commissioner Whitlam?
We are not banning art.
I'd like to say something publicly.
We're not banning
I
art,
had the
like
floor,
been
actually.
insinuated here. We need time so we can do our job correctly, okay? We are not against art in this town. We need time to do our job correctly, and that's all this moratorium is, and no more.
Commissioner Whitlam?
This is, my comments are very personal. And when I'm serving as a volunteer on a public commission, I have great responsibility, which I take seriously. And I think the comments that you've heard tonight, I'm speaking to the community at large now, I think the comments you've heard tonight from these commissioners show you that passion. You've got these volunteers that spend hours and hours on this. And my experience from the fairly recent, very publicly published criticisms of this commission in dealing with public art hit me very personally. I feel strongly about artists' expression. But when I find that very capable legal counsel are saying to me, in my position as a volunteer here, could put me in a very difficult legal position, I need to know where I stand. Otherwise, you will not have capable volunteers such as these, attorneys, administrators, architects, you have every realtors, you have every bankers, finance, you have every qualification here to run a community, and they're all doing it on their own volunteer time, as am I. I am just shaking my head that I could be in legal difficulty by voicing something that doesn't conform with exactly what Jack said, what we've been given to protect here in the town. Unless I know what I can do, and I think I was very clear earlier tonight, on a building, I want to know what the town has already said someone can do. If the town has said they can do it, I can't say they can't unless it doesn't conform with the historic nature. And that's a difficult question in and of itself, but that doesn't threaten somebody's First Amendment rights. This tells me that I could be in jeopardy by a decision I make on art expression, which I love, but I need to know. And so I feel awkward about a moratorium, but it's February. I mean, we can get this done. I know this group works so hard. This woman puts in hundreds of hours, and they'll get it done. And they may even have it done in 45 days. Who knows? But I don't think it's asking too much to give your volunteers an opportunity to bring in good legal minds and tackle this topic so that when you come before us in the future, we'll be able to do it and do it in a way that you're going to be happy and we're going to feel good about our decisions. But I don't like seeing my name in the paper saying things that were said, because that's not the way I feel in my heart and what I support. I support the rights, and I want to know what they are for both of us. That's just the way I feel personally.
And what goes in the paper should be checked first.
Should be checked first.
But I think what we're really saying here is what we're proposing on this is that so that we have time to get it completely right, completely legal, because we do support the First Amendment.
Strongly.
And also the exceptions to the First Amendment. But the whole idea here is so that we can better serve the community. And that happens to include the artists as well, all the artists. And that's what we're trying to do to get this right. I'm going to turn it over to you.
I think the discussion amongst all of the commissioners has been good, and I think in trying to put it simply, what case law has told us so far is that art, public versus private, is a different story. There are differences there, but if we're talking about private art, the decisions need to be content neutral. And to put it simply, this group needs to understand what that means and what it looks like in the context of a historic district. And until we get to that point, it's just been the ongoing discussion since the last meeting and today that the commission can't make a fair decision based on the historic district's charges and based on an artist's constitutional rights. And so all of those things need to be taken into consideration.
In other words, we have a sworn obligation to the town to serve on the committee and to do the best that we can. And therefore, we have a obligation, as I said, to serve the community as best we can and to make sure that we have the right material and common understanding and everything that goes with it to serve this community as best we can. And that's what it is. I am then going to, if there's no other, anything else you wanted to say? No. Anything else, did any of the commissioners want to say? Public comment is closed. Thank you. I am therefore going to make that motion. The motion is, I make a motion as chair and as a member of this commission to issue a 3-month moratorium with the possibility to extend for an additional 3 months upon reassessment on the review of certificates of appropriateness for public art projects within the Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District Commission in order for the Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District Commission to establish objective constitutional guidelines to review all future certificates of appropriateness for art projects within the Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District. So
I'll second that.
that's seconded by Commissioner Kay. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Kevin's gonna take it.
Kevin's gonna take it? You all right? Commissioner Fowler?
Aye.
And Commissioner Cronin?
Aye.
Commissioner Matthews?
Aye.
Commissioner Clark?
Aye.
Commissioner Doherty?
Aye.
Commissioner Kay?
Aye.
Commissioner Wentworth?
She's
Oh, no, you're not. Oh, you're right.
voting.
Sorry. Well done.
You're done.
I also say aye. Thank you very much. Thank you for everybody who has attended. And I'm pleased at the dedication of this commission to try to always get things right and to do things the right way and with the best understanding. Again, thank you to the Attorney's Office for all of the help and ongoing help to help us to deal with this in a proper, responsible, objective manner that best represents the entire community. Okay.
Thank you.
You don't get to go yet. We have to
Post the motion to adjourn.
Motion. This name takes back.
God, we have minutes to approve?
No, we did the minutes. Did the minutes.
We already did the minutes.
So, I need, the next meeting will be on March 5th, and the one after that, sorry, March 5th for the next meeting, and then March 19th. I will, and again, thank you for everybody for staying so late, and for all your participation, everything tonight. Motion for adjournment.
So moved. Second.
Second, third, fourth.
Good gracious, I have 4 of those.
Laura.
Second, you wanna pick one of those first?
You're even voting.
Laura got it. Second,
Public comment says.
second, I don't have any.
Second by Laura.
All right.
Okay,
Here we go.
so, everyone can vote on this. Commissioner Carly,
Aye.
Commissioner Cronin, Commissioner Matthews,
Aye.
Commissioner Clark,
Aye.
Commissioner Doherty. Okay. And I say aye.
And
And yours is
I
aye
can
as well.
say aye too.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.